I brace myself against the slick tiles, my chest heaving with ragged breaths as Clayton's eyes blaze into mine. The heat between us is alive, a crackling force, like an electric current pulsing in the charged air. Clayton, I rasp, barely holding on to reason. We need to call the guards. The words might carry more weight if I wasn't still working my fingers between my thighs, desperate for a relief I can't seem to find. His gaze drops from my face to my hand, and he takes a deliberate step forward. A thrill rushes through me, sharp and unrelenting. I spread my legs a little farther, even as I repeat weakly, the guards. But my voice wavers, betraying me as another wave of heat crashes through me. I don't want my fingers. I want his. I don't want his fingers. I want his tongue. I don't want his tongue. I want everything. Fuck, I whisper, my voice breaking under the weight of it all. I can't handle this. His nostrils flare, his jaw tightening as a muscle jumps in his cheek. I see the war raging in him, primal instincts battling against ironclad control. Ava, he growls, my name low and gravelly on his lips. The sound rakes through me like fire, and I whimper, my thighs clenching tightly as my body betrays me, arching closer to him. Clayton's eyes darken to a smoky jade, the predator in him prowling closer. You're playing with fire, little one. His voice is a dangerous purr, vibrating through me like a shiver. I can smell your need from here. Do you know how hard it is not to take you right now? I whine helpless, the sound spilling from me without thought. My body aches, burns in a way I can't control. Please, I beg, the word torn from my throat, raw and needy. He steps forward, his presence swallowing me whole. You need your alpha, he finishes for me, his tone a dark promise. You need to be claimed, don't you? Filled until that maddening heat is nothing but a memory. His words wreck me, the images they conjure tearing through my mind. Clayton pinning me down, thrusting into me, knotting us together as he brands me from the inside out. I want it. Every part of me screams for it. But no. He's not my fated mate. He can't be. Guards, I force out again, my voice cracking, even as I hold out my hand, beckoning him closer. A low snarl rumbles from his chest, vibrating through the space between us. No guards, Ava. Just you and me. Before I can react, Clayton's body is crowding mine, his hands slamming against the tile on either side of my head, caging me in. Heat pours off him, the heady scent of his arousal mingling with mine in the steamy air. My fingers twitch with the need to touch him, to tear him apart and pull him closer all at once. Let me take care of you, he murmurs, his breath ghosting over my lips, sending sparks down my spine. Let me claim what's mine. And then his mouth crashes against mine, swallowing the moan I can't contain. His kiss is savage and consuming, his tongue claiming mine with a possessive heat that obliterates my thoughts. I melt into him, my hands tangling in his wet hair as his body presses me harder into the tiles. One of his hands fists in my hair, yanking my head back as his mouth devours mine. The other slides lower, pressing against the waistband of my jeans before curling his leg between mine. I grind against him instinctively, chasing the rough friction of his thigh. Clayton, I whimper, shuddering at the way his fingers replace his leg, diving between my thighs without preamble. There's no teasing, no gentleness, just raw intent as he works me with ruthless precision, curling his fingers against the spot that has me seeing stars. Pleasure explodes through me, a white-hot shockwave that leaves me trembling and gasping against him. His growl rumbles in my ears, his lips brushing mine. You're perfect, he whispers, voice hoarse and reverent. We need the bed. But we don't move. I can't. His fingers keep working me, breaking me apart again and again until all I can do is cling to him, begging for something I can't name. Some small, rational voice at the back of my mind screams that this is wrong, that I shouldn't let this happen. But it's drowned out by the roar of my instincts, by the primal hunger that refuses to be denied. Mine. He's mine, if only for this moment. I brace myself against the slick tiles, my chest heaving, as Clayton's heated gaze burns into mine. The air crackles with tension, thick with something primal, something I can barely control. Clayton, I manage, my voice trembling, we need to call the guards. But my plea rings hollow, lost between us. I'm shaking with need, my body betraying me, my fingers working uselessly between my thighs. His eyes drop to my hands, his jaw tightening, and a low growl rumbles in his chest. Shoo, little one, he murmurs, his breath ghosting against my ear. I've got you. I'm going to take care of you. His fingers slide inside me again, his thumbs circling my clit with a maddening precision that steals my breath. And then, he bites me. Not hard enough to claim, but enough to send a jolt of sharp pain pleasure straight through me. I come with a scream, my body shuddering as the orgasm tears through me, white-hot and relentless. Clayton doesn't stop. His fingers coax out every last tremor until I'm boneless against him, gasping for air. He pulls back, eyes dark and feral as he licks the evidence of my release from his fingers. Mine, he growls, his voice a possessive promise that makes my core clench again.
You're mine, Ava.
No, I whisper, though the word lacks conviction. I should fight this. I should tell him he isn't my fated mate, that this changes nothing, but I can't. Not when my body aches for more. Clayton knows it too. He lifts me effortlessly, pinning me against the wall as I feel the hard press of his cock against my slick entrance. His mouth is on my neck, kissing, licking, nibbling at the crescent scar that marks me, but he doesn't claim me.
Don't, I whisper, desperate. Don't claim me.
His growl vibrates against my skin, frustrated and hungry, but he listens. Instead, he thrusts inside me in one powerful motion, splitting me apart. I cry out, pain lancing through me.
Fuck Ava, he pants, voice ragged. You're a virgin?
I nod, unable to speak. The pain is sharp and burning, but it's nothing compared to the overwhelming pleasure that follows as he stills, letting me adjust. Hold on, he mutters, pressing a kiss to my forehead before he begins to move. It's slow at first, almost tender, but that doesn't last. Clayton's control shatters, and his thrusts become brutal, punishing. He yanks my head back, baring my neck to his mouth, and I can feel his fangs scrape against my skin. Mine, he chants between growls, his voice a mix of rage and need.
My mate. Mine?
I scream as another orgasm tears through me, my body locking around him, pulsing with every thrust. His knot swells, locking us together, and Clayton's voice in my mind demands that I submit. Acknowledge me. Accept me, Celine, my wolf, snarls in defiance, resisting him even as my body welcomes every bite, every claiming mark he presses into my flesh. Harder, I gasp, shoving his face back into my neck, craving the pain and the pleasure he inflicts. You're mine, he snarls, his movements desperate now.
I'm going to breed you, Ava.
Make you mine forever. Yes, I whisper, arching into him, surrendering to the fire consuming me. Clayton roars as he comes, his body shaking against mine, and I collapse into him, trembling and spent. His tongue brushes over my neck, soothing the marks his teeth have left behind, marks that will surely scar. For a long moment, we stay like that, tangled together in the aftermath. The water runs cold, unnoticed, until Clayton shuts it off. He lifts me again, still connected, and carries me to the bed, laying me down gently. He pulls a blanket over me, but I kick it off, the heat between us still lingering. Clayton groans, pressing his hips into mine. Careful, little one, he warns, voice softer now. I won't be able to stop myself. I close my eyes, exhaustion pulling at me, even as he wraps his arms around me, holding me close. I'm so sorry, Ava, he murmurs, his voice raw. But I can't bring myself to respond. Not yet.
Hey everyone, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy the audiobooks, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support us further, consider becoming a Patreon member. As a member, you'll gain the ability to request the next part of a novel audiobook I've uploaded, depending on your Patreon tier.
I don't want to think. I nuzzle my nose into Clayton's neck and breathe him in, hearing Celine growling in the back of my head.
For what? For all of it.
But for claiming you when you told me no. I can feel his hands brushing against my neck, and pleasure and pain course through me. I can still feel him in my head, but the presence is fading. He sounds puzzled. It didn't take, though. Why didn't it take? I shake my head.
I don't know.
But I can guess it has something to do with me. Clayton continues to caress my neck.
This looks terrible.
Like a wolf tore your neck apart. It looks like I tried to kill you. I'm tired, and trying to ignore the little flares of heat in my abdomen that are trying to come back. My body can't take another round of this.
But I want. One.
You were a virgin, Clayton continues. He's very talkative after sex, I guess.
1457.
43 Ava, Virgin Heel, LL. He sounds grim. I finally open one eye to look at him, and he looks furious. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Your first time should have never been like that. His fingers trail through the tangled strands, gently working out the knots. I can't help but lean into his touch, savoring the tenderness, the gentle affection. I'm so sorry, Ava, he murmurs, his breath warm against my temple. I never wanted to hurt you like this. I tried so hard to stay away and keep you safe. A pang of guilt twists in my chest at the remorse in his voice. I already know he never meant to hurt me. He did everything he could. It's okay, I whisper through the roughness in my throat.
I understand.
Clayton shakes his head, his fingers continuing their soothing motions.
No, it's not okay.
Your first time should have been special, not a frenzied mess driven by instinct and heat. He presses a tender kiss to my forehead. I promise when this is all over, I'll make it up to you. A flicker of Hannah Imiton within MO at his warder though.
1457. 43 Ava, Virgin Heat, 3.
Idea of experiencing true intimacy with Clayton, without the haze of heat and desperation clouding our senses, fills me with a longing I can't quite put into words. It's something I'd hoped to find with Lucas. Just rest now, my love, he murmurs, his fingers trailing down my spine in a feather-light caress. Let me take care of you. I can feel my heat creeping back into me, desperate for more. His tender affections feed it, and my starving soul. I can't help it when my hips grind down a little on his cock, embedded inside of me.
Clayton. No, Ava. You need a break.
Clayton, I say again, rubbing harder. I can feel him growing inside of me. Did I say my body couldn't take another round?
Because it disagrees.
It wants another.
A lot of. Another's.
Clayton, I whisper into his ear, licking my way down his neck and breathing in his scent. It smells mate Y in.
1457. 43 Ava, Virgin Haute, ill. A wrong way.
I'm reminded of Lucas, and a part of me wants to pull myself away in horror. I've cheated on my fated mate. Another part of me doesn't care. Isn't okay to have this one as my mate?
He's gentle and kind.
And even if the mating bond didn't take, we can just try again. It's not cheating, Celine interjects. He rejected you.
Your mate bond is void.
Then why didn't Clayton's claim take? Celine goes silent again. I think she's giving me my privacy. Normally, I'd be frustrated and demand more answers, but I have other concerns on my mind. I can see Clayton's eyes flare with a hint of yellow.
His wolf is there.
His wolf must be the one that kept brutalizing my neck. It felt good though. The pain had pushed me into another plane of pleasure.
Ava. MMM.
I nibble where his neck meets his shoulder, as his hands grow a little more insistent. I came inside of you.
1457. 43 Ava, Virgin Heat, 3.
I know. I was there after all. His hands slide down, kneading my ass, lifting me a little and then slamming me back down, over and over, in an agonizingly slow rhythm. Just enough to build my desire without giving any real relief from it.
This isn't enough.
My wolf is demanding that I breed you, he says, and every part of me shivers in delight. Yes, I say, as Celine groans in my head.
You don't want pups, Ava.
I probably don't, but my brain and body are united in wanting Clayton to breed me right now. Thankfully, Clayton seems to be more in tune with himself than I am. I'm so sorry, he whispers, leaning forward to brush his lips against my head.
The kiss is
chaste, in direct contrast to his wandering hands and gently rolling hips. I promise, I'll take care of you and our pups. You won't want for anything. Wait, the reality is starting to catch up to me, just a little. There's no guarantee I'm pregnant.
Right. But from noveldrama.org. 43 Ava, Virgin Haute, 2. Well.
I grind against him in frustration with his movements, even as I'm telling myself to stop.
But I can't.
It's only a probability, right?
I hope I'm not. Shit.
I don't even know what I'm going to do if I am. Not if I can help it, he growls. Celine sighs in my head, but all my misgivings disappear as Clayton's movements become more frantic. His eyes are wild again, his nostrils flaring at my scent. His kiss is gentler than I expect, even as his fingers dig into my ass and hips. I know I'm going to be bruised all over by the
time this is done.
This tickles my brain for some reason. Injuries.
Wait.
Why am I not hurting from the accident?
Oh, you are, Celine mutters.
But you're too horny to care right now. Even if you get pregnant with an entire litter of pups. Clayton bites hard enough to draw blood from my lower lip, before suckling it away.
Stop thinking, he. 43 Ava, Virgin Heat, 3.
Orders me in a way that should have me annoyed. Instead, it goes straight down, right into my pussy as I clamp around him with a moan. The resulting sound that comes out of him does all sorts of things to my insides, and all his gentleness disappears as my heat rises to a fever pitch again.
And again. And again.
Enjoy the chapters while they're still free. We'll be uploading several today since I don't want to keep waiting for the premium chapters to take effect.
Lucas.
The highway flies by in a blur of white lines and endless pine forests as I grip the steering wheel tightly with one hand, the other holding a cigarette I
shouldn't be having.
I quit smoking a long time ago, but the past 48 hours have been hell. I didn't get to see Ava for a couple days after flying out when I got the news that our scout was murdered, his body hanging between the Blackwood and Westwood territories. I don't even know what Ava thought of my note taped to her dining table, explaining that I'd be back as soon as I could. Is she grateful I'm not there? Or is she missing me? My cell phone is pressed between my ear and shoulder while I shout into it in between puffs of the cancer-causing burn stick I've been craving for the past 20 miles. I don't give a flying fuck, Kellen, I growl, cutting off his protest. I'm not leaving Washington for the next 3 days, so don't even fucking think about calling.
1458. 44 Lucas, shocking return. Me back there. Lucas, come on.
The Blackwoods aren't going to do anything first. My jaw clenches as I take a sharp turn, tires screeching. You know they're trying to bait us into the first move. We have no proof the Blackwoods killed him.
Until we do, we can't do shit.
And since we can't do shit, I need to see Ava.
You're playing a dangerous game, Alpha.
Kellen's sigh crackles through the speaker. If Blackwood finds out you're sniffing around Grey's daughter.
He'll what? Start a war. I let out a harsh laugh.
He won't alienate his allies. He's hoping they'll help him when the war comes. He won't take the first step. It changes everything and you know it. I can practically hear Kellen's disapproved frown. He's been frustrated, saying my obsession with Ava keeps me too far from the pack and the issues going on.
There.
He's not wrong, but nothing is more important than
my mate.
I need to bring her home. Once I do that, everything.
1458.
44 Lucas, shocking return.
Will fall into place.
I'm going to make things right with her, Kel. My voice softens as I picture Ava's face, those wide blue eyes that so easily sucker, punch me with so many feelings. I'm finally making progress. I'm going to fix this. And if she doesn't want you back? The question hangs heavy in the air, but I refuse to consider the possibility. Ava and I are meant to be together. I can feel it in my bones, in the way my wolf howls for her. She will, I say firmly. I'll make her see. Kellen mutters something under his breath that sounds suspiciously like stubborn asshole, but I choose to ignore it. He doesn't have a fated mate connection. He doesn't understand the pull between us, the raw, primal need that consumes me whenever
she's near.
God, just the thought of seeing her again has me half hard in my jeans. I shift uncomfortably, trying to adjust myself without taking my hands off the wheel. It's been months since I last touched her, since I felt.
1458.
44 Lucas, shocking return. Her soft skin under my fingers and tasted her
sweetness on my tongue.
I want her beneath me, writhing and moaning as I claim every inch of her body. I want to bury myself inside her tight heat and make her scream my name until she forgets anyone else ever existed. A low growl rumbles in my chest as I imagine it, Ava spread out on my bed, her blonde hair fanned across the pillow as I hover over her. I take my time with her, worshipping every curve and valley until she's trembling with need. And when she's right on the edge, begging for release, I'd finally give it to her, thrusting deep as I spill myself inside her.
Fuck.
I'm fully hard now, my cock straining against the confines of my zipper. I press down on the gas pedal, urging the car to go faster. I need to get to Ava now, before I combust from the sheer force of my desire. I have to go, I grunt into the phone, not waiting for Kellen's response before I end the call and toss it onto the passenger seat. The welcome to Cedarwood sign flashes by in my peripheral vision, and I feel a sense of anticipation.
1458.
44 Lucas, shocking return. Building in my gut. I'm so close now, just a few more miles until I'm at Ava's doorstep, ready to grovel at her feet if that's what it takes. I don't care about the potential war with Blackwood or the dead scout or any of the other bullshit waiting for me back home. All that matters is Ava and earning her forgiveness. And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll even get that steamy reconciliation I've been fantasizing about. The thought brings a wolfish grin to my face as I take the exit into town, my heart pounding in anticipation of what's to come. I burst through the doors of the novel grind, my eyes scanning the cozy interior for any sign of Ava. The scent of coffee and old books usually brings a sense of comfort, but today it only fuels my anxiety. She's not behind the counter, and a quick glance around the seating area confirms she's not here at all. Fuck. Where is she? Mrs. Elkins catches my eye from her usual table, waving me over with a grim expression. I make my way to her, dodging the mid-morning rush of customers.
1450.
44 Lucas, shocking Rottern property belongs to Novel, D/AMA org. Lucas, she greets me, her voice strained.
Have a seat.
I comply, my body tense as I perch on the edge of the chair.
What's going on? Where's Ava?
Mrs. Elkins sighs, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. That's what I was hoping you could tell me. She hasn't shown up for work in the past couple of days.
No call, no explanation.
Her dog is missing too. My heart clenches painfully in my chest. Ava's missing. I leave on pack business and now she's gone. Did she leave on her own? Or is it something more sinister? Shit, has Blackwood found her?
Those assholes have
been looking for her, like they finally realized what they lost. I don't know where she is, I admit, my voice rough. I've been out of town for a few days. Fuck, I should have been here. Mrs. Elkins leans forward, her eyes narrowed. Lucas, I need you to be straight with me. Is Ava a packless shifter? 14.50.
44 Lucas, shocking return.
The question catches me off guard, and I blink at her in surprise. What makes you ask that? The shifter presence in Cedarwood has been strange lately. A lot of rogues, a lot who aren't from the Aspen pack. They're always around. I've seen the way they look at the novel grind, like they're searching for something.
Or someone.
I run a hand through my hair, my mind racing. If other shifters are sniffing around, it can only mean one thing: they're looking for Ava.
But why? And who?
There's only one answer: Blackwood. No one else would know anything about her.
Fuck.
Yes, I finally answer, seeing no point in lying.
Ava is a shifter.
She should be part of my pack, but dash.
Mrs. Elkins nods. She already knows. I had a feeling.
But Lucas, if she's caught up in something dangerous, I'll find her, I vow, my voice fierce. I won't let anything happen to her. I stand abruptly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I need to get out there to track down any load I non-find buoy minute aune minning in.
14:58. 44 Lucas, shocking return.
Another minute she could be in danger. Keep this between us for now, I tell Mrs. Elkins, my tone brooking no argument. I don't want to cause a panic. If anyone asks, just say Ava's out sick. She nods, her expression grim.
Of course. But Lucas, be careful.
Whatever's going on, it feels bigger than just Cedarwood. I give her a tight smile, already heading for the door.
I know.
But I'll do whatever it takes to bring her home.
Safe. I need to call Kellen. It's time for war.
I need to get my mate back. Lucas, you're going the wrong way.
Lena Leah.
Creator's thought. A week has passed since that first fateful night with Clayton, and the haze of my heat is finally fading. Clayton rarely left my side, and every time I think of him, I blush. To go from a virgin with almost no experience to so many memories of his naked body over mine, his large hands rough on my skin, and the near, violent collision of our passion, over and over again. It's like a different world. I can't help looking at men a little differently, with a little bit more suspicion. If someone as polite and gentlemanly as Clayton can have that side of him, aren't they all just brutal beasts in bed? Well, your heat experience is a little unique, Celine says dryly. Clayton's back with his pack today, doing alpha things, I think. I'm not sure. He was gone when I woke up. The nurses haven't discharged me yet, saying they just want to make sure I'm okay.
I'm more than okay. I feel. 14:58. 45 Ava, clear-minded.
Strong and refreshed. Even some of the scars all over my neck from failed claiming marks, so many failed attempts, because heat, Ava apparently really likes when he tries, are slowly fading from the first night. They'll be gone in another week, Celine agrees. It looks brutal, like I've been attacked by a wild animal. In a way, I guess I was. Clayton wasn't in his right mind either, but claiming marks by nature have always healed quickly. The scars usually stay though. Now that I can feel my heat is done, I feel embarrassed and guilty more than anything. I'm sure it must be awkward for Clayton as well. I'll be able to see you soon, I tell Celine, who gives a little rumble of excitement. She's been hanging out near the hospital, frustrated because she can't get to me. She can apparently scale the building to my window, but could never come in because of Clayton. Neither of us want to give up our secrets, so she stayed outside, parted from me. Don't lose the necklace this time, Celine orders me. Frustrated as she too thinks about this past week. 45 Ava clear-minded. It's been rough.
I won't.
She found it near myself, defense classes. The clasp had broken, and it didn't take long for my heat to
take over.
Celine still hasn't explained the ins and outs of that, but I'll get it out of her eventually. Right now, I'm just anxious to go home. I was given the option of using Clayton's phone to get in touch with anyone worried about me, but I don't want any of them to know who I am, so I didn't. If he knows about the novel grind, he can find my information easily. If he knows my information, he can figure out what pack I'm from. If that happens, Clayton is a good man, but he's an alpha who needs to put his pack first. I don't know what he would do if my pack asked for me back. Once I'm discharged, I plan to sneak back into obscurity. I don't want to take any chances. I sink back against the pillows with a sigh. I want to go for a walk, but the nurses won't let me leave the isolation room for another day. Think Lucas knows I'm missing? 45 Ava clear-minded.
Celine scoffs. Who knows? Who cares? He's just your fated.
It isn't like she's wrong, but I can't help but think about him anyway. During my heat, that ever-present ache in my chest had disappeared, but it's back now, and filled with a decent amount of guilt over how I've spent
the last week.
Nothing to be guilty about. You aren't mated. Also true.
But still.
The door to my hospital room suddenly swings open, and a woman strides in with an air of confidence. She has the same striking green eyes as Clayton, her chestnut hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. "You must be Ava," she says, giving me a warm smile. "I'm Ivy, Clayton's sister. It's a pleasure to meet you." I move to stand as Ivy enters, but she waves a hand dismissively. "No need to get up. Rest, you've been through an ordeal." Content, see nov/eldra/maorg. I sink back onto the bed, a little self-conscious under her scrutinizing gaze. It's like she's checking to see if
1458. 45 Ava, clear-minded.
I'm worthy of her brother.
Which I'm not.
I can tell her that any day of the week. Clayton's an accomplished alpha with a pack who
reveres him.
I'm a pack defect who ran away. I'm not about to try to get any favors from Clayton, I just want to disappear quietly. I resist the urge to squirm or cover myself with the thin hospital blanket as she continues to assess me. "It's nice to meet you too," I say, extending my hand. Ivy grasps it firmly, her grip surprisingly strong and her palms and fingers calloused. Our handshake is brief but allows her to lean in close, nostrils flaring slightly as she gets a subtle whiff of my scent. I hold myself still, fighting the instinct to pull back or bare my neck in submission. This woman may be Clayton's sister, but her dominant energy makes me wary. "So you're the mysterious Omega who has my brother all worked up," Ivy murmurs, her tone light but her green eyes glittering with sharp intelligence. I can't say I blame him. "Your scent is quite enticing." I swallow hard, my mouth suddenly dry.
Is she flirting? 45 Ava, clear-minded.
With me? Or just making an observation? Is she disapproving of how he fell into bed with me? It's not like I tried to have that happen. I didn't mean to cause any trouble, I say carefully. It was never my intention to, entice anyone. Ivy arches one elegant brow.
Of course not.
True Omegas can't help their allure, it's simply part of their nature. Her gaze drifts down to the fading marks on my neck, and she clicks her tongue, muttering under her breath. "Although it seems my brother struggled to keep his wolf in check around you." Ivy warily as she smiles at me, that warm expression not quite reaching her sharp gaze. "Clayton sent me to ensure you settle into your new lodgings comfortably. He personally chose the apartment himself and hopes it will suit you." I fight the frown that wants to curl my lips down. That's very kind of him, but I don't need a place to stay. I'd prefer to just return home, if it's all the same. Ivy's smile doesn't falter, but there's a calculating glint in her eyes now. "And where is home for you, Ava? No one has managed to get even that basic information out of you yet." I hesitate, my heart giving a hard thump against my ribs. Telling this woman anything about my past or my origins feels unwise, and thinking that way makes me feel guilty. After all, everyone in this pack has treated me so kindly, even during my most embarrassing
moments.
Pressing my lips together, I refuse as politely as I can. I just want to return home. I appreciate the offer, but 46 Ava, living arrangements. You all have done too much for me as it is. Ivy watches me closely.
I see, she murmurs.
Well, I'll let Clayton know that you refused. She sounds a little too satisfied. I watch Ivy closely as she takes my hands in hers, searching her face for any hint of deception. There's something almost too sincere in the way she looks at me. The gentle curve of her lips doesn't match the hardness of her eyes. "Take care of yourself, Ava," she says softly, giving my hands a gentle squeeze before releasing them.
"Thank you."
I'm not really sure how else to respond. She acts so concerned, and yet she's met me for all of
2 minutes.
Ivy turns and crosses the room, plucking a pen from the small table beside the door.
She scribbles
something on the pad of paper there before tearing off the sheet and placing it in my hands.
"That's my number.
In case you need anything at all, don't hesitate to call me." With that, she's gone, the door clicking shut quietly.
Behind her. 1450.
46 Ava, living arrangements. I let out a slow breath, glancing at the paper with her looping handwriting scrawled across it. Celine's growl echoes in my mind. She sounds too cunning by far, pup. Watch yourself around that one. I frown, picking up the paper and staring at the number as if it might reveal Ivy's true intentions.
You think she's up to something?
I don't dare speak out loud. I'm sure Ivy would hear.
1. Me.
I think she's scared you will take over the control she has in the pack. As the alpha's sister, she must be pretty high ranking.
That would make sense. I shiver.
I have no interest in being part of any pack's internal politics. She's probably just misunderstanding Clayton's kindness. Celine makes a soft sound of dissent in my head.
Do
not mistake a man's intentions with random kindness, Ava. It will only cause harm for both of you. I'm surprised when Clayton strides into the room.
His 1450.
46 Ava, living arrangements. Presence instantly commanding my attention. His expression is unreadable as he approaches my bedside, but then he leans down and brushes a soft kiss against my cheek. Ava, he murmurs in greeting, the deep rumble of his voice sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. The easy affection has me off balance. Since I'm not in heat anymore, I'd assumed he would treat me like he did when we first met. Alpha Clayton, I reply, proud of how steady my voice sounds despite my inner panic. Clayton takes a seat in the chair beside my bed, his piercing gaze fixed on me with an intensity that makes me want to squirm. I hear you refused the apartment I chose for you. My cheeks flush at his blunt statement. I told your sister I didn't need it. His face is still inscrutable. And why is that? There's an edge to his tone that I can't quite read.
Protectiveness? Irritation?
I grip the thin hospital blanket tightly in my fists, steeling myself. I have a life to get back to, I say simply, holding his
4.8.
46 Ava, living arrangements.
Stare. A job, an apartment.
I appreciate your generosity, but I don't need charity. His eyes narrow slightly at my words. It wasn't charity, Ava. It was an offer to take care of you, to provide for you as is my duty and privilege as your, he hesitates, then rephrases.
After what
transpired between us. I feel heat bloom in my cheeks at the reference to the passion of the past week. I shake my head. I told you, I don't want or need anything more from your pack.
You've done enough.
I should be apologizing for being so much trouble. Clayton leans forward, resting his arms on his knees. Tell me about this life you're so eager to return to, he says at last. What's so important that you'd turn down the protection and care of my pack? I bristle at his prodding, my defenses rising. Why does it matter?
I challenge. It's my life.
I don't need to justify myself to you. Content, see nov/eldra/maorg. His jaw tightens infinitesimally, a muscle ticking there. As the alpha who claimed you, even temporarily, it's my responsibility to ensure your safety and well-being.
1459.
46 Ava, living arrangements. And as a true Omega, I don't feel comfortable not being able to keep an eye on you until things settle down. Your identity will draw trouble. I open my mouth to protest that he doesn't owe me anything, that what happened was a mistake, but Celine's voice stops me.
Don't be a fool, Ava. He's the alpha.
You don't want to provoke his wolf by refusing his care so blatantly. You've already violated pack law by not announcing your presence when you
moved here.
I press my lips together, considering. As much as it grates, Celine is right. Clayton is the alpha, and openly defying him could be dangerous. He was polite and kind at our first meeting, but things have changed. I'm not sure what he wants from me. I'd expected him to let me go. I hadn't expected him to try to keep me here, in an apartment of his choosing. I'm just trying to live my own life, I say at last, aiming for a more diplomatic tone. Away from the politics and expectations of other packs. I don't want to get tangled up in anything else right now. Clayton's expression softens ever so slightly at my
1459.
46 Ava, living arrangements.
Words.
I understand your need for independence, he says quietly. But you must know that no shifter can survive outside of a pack. You saw the rogues who kidnapped you, they were feral. I drop my gaze, heat flooding my cheeks again.
He's right, of course.
Wolves need their packs. It's just that I'm not a normal wolf. I can't tell him that though. I don't need him trying to save me from whatever dangers being even more abnormal might bring. I just want to go home and drink coffee with Mrs. Elkins and spend my days at the novel grind, living quietly. Why is it so hard? You'll be able to move in tomorrow, Clayton says, and I jerk my head up in surprise. I haven't agreed.
Ava.
Clayton reaches out to grab my hand, squeezing it gently.
He looks conflicted.
I am not one to keep a woman in my pack against her will, but with your identity, I can't let you go. You won't tell anyone what pack you're from.
46
Ava, living arrangements.
It's fine, Ava.
I'm not going to pester you for the information. But as an alpha, I can't just overlook the situation. You are in Aspen territory. I'm sorry, but you don't have a choice in this matter. Not until we get things figured out. Ask him if the apartment allows dogs, Celine says. The apartment Clayton talked about is in the middle of the city, in a high rise that towers above every other building in the area. It reeks of money. I follow Clayton through the opulent lobby, cringing as my sneakers squeak against the polished marble floor. I don't belong here, in this sleek luxury, through minimalism space. Two large men in crisp suits stand by the entrance, their eyes following our every move. Guards. I murmur to Clayton, trying to keep my voice casual despite the unease prickling up my spine. He nods once, ushering me towards the elevators.
For the human residents, yes. We aim to avoid any
incidents between humans and shifters. My eyebrows lift at that, and I risk a sidelong glance at him as we step into the empty elevator car. Incidents happen often around here? Clayton's expression darkens momentarily as he hits the button for the top floor.
Not often, he allows. 1459. 47 Ava, the apartment.
But no pack is immune. There are always hotheads who lack control, rogues who seek chaos. We have to take precautions. I absorb that silently, my mind whirling. It was not infrequent to hear my father complaining about young idiots who wandered into the human territory and harmed or killed humans.
The Blackwood Pack didn't treat humans well.
It's different here. I've seen the differences firsthand, but I still didn't expect humans and shifters to live in the same building.
The top floor is exclusive.
You can see it at first glance. There are only 2 doors despite the long hallway. There should be plenty of room for other apartments, yet there aren't any. Clayton guides me down the corridor to the door on the left, his hand a warm weight against the small of my back. I tense at his touch, my skin tingling with wariness. Home sweet home, he says, unlocking the door and waving me in. The apartment is stunning. There are huge windows.
1459. 47 Ava, the apartment.
All along the back of the apartment. It has an open floor plan, bringing in all the natural light, and even with the furniture that Clayton has provided, I could easily go bowling in the free space.
Or roller skating.
I turn in a slow circle, taking in the high ceilings, the modern furnishings, the state of the art kitchen.
Tucked into an alcove.
Wow, I murmur despite myself.
It's suitable.
Clayton prompts, watching me closely. There's a glint of something like pride in his eyes as he surveys my reaction. I had it outfitted with everything you might need. I swallow hard, feeling a surge of discomfort at the thought of him making such personal arrangements for me.
It's very nice, I manage.
But really it's too much. I'm happy to find a place on my own dash.
Ava.
Clayton steps closer, his height and physical presence suddenly overwhelming. We've been over this. For now, you need to remain under my protection. This is non-negotiable. I bristle at his words, that simmering sense of independence that has kept me going all these years. Contents Bell 0 NGS to know, VLDR/A/MA.org.
1459. 47 Ava, the apartment. Flaring to life.
I don't need your protection, I argue, lifting my chin to meet his piercing gaze. I was doing just fine on my own before you were kidnapped by rogue shifters. Clayton cuts me off, his tone laced with a sharp edge. Before you went into a heat so potent that even an alpha as disciplined as myself was rendered powerless against it. I flush hotly at the memory, heat unfurling low in my belly. Clayton holds my stare, his eyes glittering with a mixture of challenge and something darker, more
primal.
You may think you have everything under control, he continues in a low rumble. But the truth is, you're a rare thing in our world, Ava. An omega with immense power that you don't fully understand yet. You need guidance and protection until you can learn to master it. I open my mouth to protest, but Celine's warning rings in my mind.
Don't fight him, Ava.
Play along for now, at least until we can find a way out of this mess.
Safely. 14.59. 47 Ava, the apartment.
Grinding my teeth, I force myself to nod.
Fine.
I'll stay here for now. The words feel like shards of glass in my mouth. A muscle ticks in Clayton's jaw, but he inclines his head in acceptance.
Good. Get settled in.
My apartment is across the hall, so I won't be far. There are clothes in the bedroom, I had my secretary shop for them. Of course, we can go shopping if they aren't in your taste. You went shopping? I hadn't even thought about a change of clothes. I'm wearing some that Clayton had brought over, but I didn't think he'd bought an entire wardrobe. You have nothing, he says, as if that's all the explanation that's needed. The fridge is also stocked, but I'm not sure if anything is to your taste. Someone did bring some dog food in bowls. I can feel a thin thread of panic wiggling in my chest. The weight of this kindness is suffocating. I feel like I'm trapped in a gilded cage. How am I supposed to leave when he's taken care of every need before I can even voice it?
1459. 47 Ava, the apartment.
Clayton must sense my distress because his expression softens into one of concern. We can pick up your dog tomorrow if you'd like, he offers, misreading the source of my turmoil. Though, has someone been taking care of it while you've been gone? I latch onto that, grasping at the chance to deflect. Oh, no need to worry about my dog, I assure him hastily, the lie tripping off my tongue with surprising ease. I'll take care of it. He frowns, clearly wanting to protest, but I quickly change the subject. I actually really want to shower, if that's okay? Clayton's jaw tightens minutely, but he nods.
Of course.
Fresh towels are in the linen closet, and there are toiletries in the shower. Let me know if you need anything else. There's a new phone in the bedroom. It hasn't been set up yet, but we put your SIM card in it. I assume your phone was the one with the purple case.
I nod.
Once you have it set, add my number. I have it written down in your room.
He hesitates, then steps. 1459. 47 Ava, the apartment.
Forward and pulls me into a hug. My entire body stiffens, and he kisses the top of my head gently. I know this is weird, he says, his voice soft and understanding. I'm not going to push you into anything you don't want. I promise, I won't keep you here against your will forever. And yet, why does that promise feel so hollow to my
ears?
Celine's warm, furry body is a balm to my soul as we cuddle in on the sofa, a random show playing in the background. My eyes drift to the new phone sitting on the nightstand. Is it safe to use? Could Clayton or someone else have hacked into it, using it as a way to track my every move? A shiver runs down my spine at the thought. Celine stirs beside me, her head lifting as she blinks in the dimness. Her piercing blue eyes find mine, and I feel the gentle brush of her consciousness against my own. You're being paranoid again, she murmurs, her mental voice a soft caress against my frazzled thoughts. Can you blame me? My voice comes out in a whisper. After everything that's happened, I don't want to take any risks that could turn my life upside down again. I just don't know how far I can trust Clayton.
I know, pup.
Celine nuzzles my cheek with affection. But driving yourself mad with worry isn't the answer either. We'll be cautious, but we can't live in fear. 1500 hours content. See nov/eldra/ma.org.
48 Ava, no great destiny.
I swallow hard, wishing I could just turn off the constant stream of anxious thoughts whirring through my brain. I just finally felt like I had a handle on things.
And now?
Now everything has been ripped away from me once
more.
It isn't over, Celine points out, ever the voice of reason. Hugging her as she crawls into my lap, I sigh. I feel like something's going to happen, I admit, reaching up to touch the necklace that's once again around my neck. Celine nudges it with her nose. Everything will be okay. Don't be so quick to assume the worst of that alpha. Rubbing her ears helps calm down the anxiety. Fluttering in my belly, and Celine rolls over in bliss at the attention. We've missed each other terribly this past week. It just worries me. All this stuff, the care he's taking, it makes me feel like he's decided I'm his mate, and he's just waiting for me to accept it and follow along like a good little she-wolf. Her fur is soft against my cheek as I rub my head against hers.
I don't want that.
1500 hours.
48 Ava, no great destiny.
Kind of life.
I know.
The weight of the world is on my shoulders, it feels. Sighing, I snuggle even closer to Celine's warmth, taking what comfort I can get. What about my heat? Am I going to go through that again? If Clayton's around, it wouldn't be so bad, though, another week in bed with him might give him even more ideas about our relationship. But if I'm not anywhere near him, and some other strong wolf is
nearby,
the thought of experiencing another heat with a stranger sends a shudder down my spine. Celine hesitates, her mental voice tinged with a seriousness that immediately puts me on edge. It should be taken care of, with the ring and the necklace, is her eventual answer. My fingers touch the crystal pendant again, its comforting weight reassuring me of its presence. So, how exactly do these help? Celine shifts in my lap, stretching out her lean body. Before resettling against me, the necklace acts as a 1500 hours. 49 Ava, no great destiny. Dampener. As long as you're wearing it, you should maintain control over yourself during your cycles, among other things. I frown, rolling the information over in my mind. Why did I go into heat as soon as I didn't have it on? Your heat was forcefully suppressed. It burst out as soon as it had a chance. The ring acts as a shield for your power. Others can't sense it, and it will keep you safe.
Power?
The magic that I'm not supposed to use?
Yes.
My fingers trace the simple silver band on my other hand, marveling at the magic it seems to contain. So much about my life has become intertwined with these strange artifacts and their mysteries. And if I don't wear them? I ask cautiously, almost afraid of the answer. Celine's response is somber. Then your heat will occur every month, each one stronger than the last, until you find someone strong enough to claim you. And your power will eventually consume you.
1500 hours. 48 Ava, no great destiny.
That's morbid enough to freak me out.
Clayton is strong.
I've heard his name before. He's well regarded in the Northwestern Territories. If Clayton isn't strong enough to claim me, then who? That, I have no answer for.
Lucas. I don't know.
He is your fated, but that doesn't mean the claiming will succeed. The scars on my neck prickle, and I have to fight the urge to touch them. I won't take them off again, I vow, my voice trembling. I can't go through that kind of hell ever again.
I know, pup.
Celine licks my cheek. Comfortingly. We'll figure this out together, one step at a time.
You're not alone in this.
Fiddling the ring, I try to think through everything I've learned. Our history as wolf shifters is a lie. We're all cursed, and wolf shifters actually have two souls in our bodies. Stealing the souls of lichens. 1500 hours.
48 Ava, no great destiny. I'm somehow different?
Side eyeing Celine, I say, I still don't understand how or why I'm different.
She tilts her head.
You are born, and therefore you are.
Okay.
So, I'm different, with a giant question mark on why. I have the power of ancient magicians, but if I use it I'll probably die. Celine's a lichen, who chose me. Why?
Why did you choose me again? She huffs a bit.
Your soul is pure. Her cryptic answers will probably never stop. Celine, do I have some sort of higher purpose or a quest or a prophecy, or something I need to know about?
What do you mean?
I mean, if you look at movies and TV and books, stuff like this only happens to the hero, who has some sort of special power and uses it for the greater good, or to save the world.
No, it's nothing like that.
Sweet relief takes a large weight off my shoulders.
So.
1500 hours 6.
48 Ava, no great destiny.
I don't have to return all the lichens back to this place between our world and wherever the gods left us for.
Of course not. That's impossible.
I don't have to change society or marry some lichen king, or make some special lichen babies with a strong alpha.
You have to live, Ava. That is all.
I twiddle her ears. Seriously? No catch? Just, hey, I'm special but it's fine, live my life however I want.
Her eyes drift close. Indeed.
But trouble will come to find you, so it's best to be prepared. Why is trouble going to find me? As long as I don't go into heat, it should be fine, right?
Wolves can sense power, Ava.
Your power is too great to be hidden from those who seek it. You just said the ring shields my power from detection. Under normal circumstances, yes. But she doesn't clarify further. Celine's presence helped me sleep like the dead. Waking in the morning in a room outside of the hospital is nicer than I want to admit to Clayton, after trying to refuse this apartment. Stretching languidly, I take a moment to bask in the luxury of the king-sized bed, reveling in the silky sheets caressing my skin. A contented sigh escapes my lips as I roll onto my side, only to find myself face to face with Celine's piercing blue gaze. Morning, I murmur, reaching out to scratch behind
her ears. Morning, pup.
Her tail thumps against the mattress in greeting.
Sleep well?
Like a rock. I glance around the lavish bedroom, my eyes lingering on the plush armchairs positioned near the floor, two ceiling windows. It's going to take some getting used to, living in a place like this.
You deserve nice things, Ava.
Celine nuzzles my hand. Although, I must admit, I miss the simplicity of your old apartment.
1501. 49 Ava, Celine's secret vice.
Is it possible to feel nostalgia after only a week away?
Because I do. Me too.
We won't be able to go back for a little while, right? Celine's ears flatten against her head. Not until the alpha sends you home. Pushing aside the melancholy, I swing my legs over the edge of the bed and stretch again, relishing the freedom of movement. No sore back or hips, and no tense neck after sleeping on near, flat pillows. So, what's on the agenda for today? Celine hops off the bed and trots toward the door. Well, you don't have a job to go to anymore, so I suppose you could be a couch potato for once. I can't help but laugh at the mental image.
A couch potato?
Really?
Why not?
She glances back at me with a wolfish grin. There's a new shifter romance show that just started. We could watch it together. Raising an eyebrow, I follow her out of the bedroom and into the spacious living area.
A shifter romance. Shower?
Somehow I doubt it'll be an accurato.
1501. 40 Ava, Salono's secret vice.
Representation of our lives. Celine hops onto the plush sofa, making herself comfortable.
You'd be surprised. From what I've heard, it's quite steamy.
Heat rises to my cheeks at her suggestive tone.
Steamy, huh?
I'm not sure I want to watch something like that with you.
Oh, come now.
She gives me a pointed look. After everything we've been through together, a little on-screen romance shouldn't faze you. Shaking my head in amusement, I join her on the couch, tucking my feet beneath me.
All right.
Let's see what all the fuss is about. With a few taps on the remote, the large flat screen flickers to life, and the opening credits of Fated Mates fill the screen. Celine's tail thumps excitedly against the cushions, and I can't help but chuckle at
her enthusiasm.
Okay, let's see what kind of steamy shifter romance
awaits us.
Just wait, Celine promises, her eyes glued to the
screen.
This show is going to make you wish you had a
49 Ava, Celine's secret vice. Mate of your own. I roll my eyes. I have one. He didn't want me. I don't.
Think our love affair is meant for an audience, eh? Celine scoffs at my words. A fated mate doesn't count when they're too stupid to appreciate what's right in front of them. A surprised laugh escapes my lips. Trust Celine to put things so bluntly.
You're right.
Before I can say anything further, a sharp knock echoes through the apartment, causing us both to turn our heads toward the sound. Frowning, I rise from the couch and make my way to the door, curiosity piqued. When I pull it open, I'm surprised to find Ivy standing on the other side, her expression unreadable. I'm not sure how to greet her, so I just say hello and stand there like an idiot. Her gaze sweeps over me, assessing my appearance with a critical eye, unimpressed by my pajamas. An impatient expression crosses her features as she arches a perfectly groomed eyebrow. This content is copyright noveldrama.org.
1501. 40 Ava, Celine's secret vice. Well?
Are you going to invite me in, or shall we conduct our business in the hallway? Her tone leaves no room for argument, and I hurry to step aside, gesturing for her to enter.
Of course, please come in.
As Ivy brushes past me, Celine lets out a snort from her spot on the couch, drawing Ivy's attention. Surprise flickers across her face when the husky doesn't back down from her intense stare. Where did you get that dog? Ivy asks, her eyes narrowing. I glance at Celine, who meets my gaze with a knowing look. She's just a stray who showed up one day. Ran away from her old home, I suppose.
Huskies are like that.
Celine's tail thumps against the cushion, almost as if she's agreeing with my explanation. Ivy, however, doesn't seem entirely convinced.
A stray, huh?
Her lips purse as she studies Celine, who simply stares back at her, unfazed. Well, I suppose that explains her lack of manners. Refor I can Rianand Kalana Lita out a low growled her.
1501. 40 Ava, Celine's secret vice.
Hackles rising. Ivy's eyes widen, and I quickly step between them, shooting a warning glance at my canine companion.
Celine, enough.
I turn to Ivy, offering her an
apologetic smile.
I'm sorry about that. She can be a bit protective sometimes. Ivy regards me for a moment, her expression
unreadable.
Finally, she shakes her head and waves a dismissive hand.
No matter.
I didn't come here to discuss your pet. Then why are you here? I ask, unable to hide my curiosity. Ivy's gaze meets mine, and I'm struck by the intensity in her eyes. I wanted to see for myself how you're settling in. I blink, taken aback by her words. Oh, well, it's certainly a nice place. A bit too extravagant for my tastes, but I appreciate the gesture. My brother has a tendency to go overboard, Ivy says with one of her two warm smiles.
But he means well.
He wants to ensure you're comfortable and well cared.
4. ING.
Ivy's eyes widen, and I quickly step between them, shooting a warning glance at my canine companion.
Celine, enough.
I turn to Ivy, offering her an
apologetic smile.
I'm sorry about that. She can be a bit protective sometimes. Ivy regards me for a moment, her expression
unreadable.
Finally, she shakes her head and waves a dismissive hand.
No matter.
I didn't come here to discuss your pet. Then why are you here? I ask, unable to hide my curiosity. Ivy's gaze meets mine, and I'm struck by the intensity in her eyes. I wanted to see for myself how you're settling in. I blink, taken aback by her words. Oh, well, it's certainly a nice place. A bit too extravagant for my tastes, but I appreciate the gesture. My brother has a tendency to go overboard, Ivy says with one of her two warm smiles.
But he means well.
He wants to ensure you're comfortable and well cared.
49 Ava, Celine's secret vice.
There's something in her tone that sets me on edge, but I can't make it out. Celine's growl echoes in my mind. Well, you can tell your brother that I'm doing just fine, I say, trying to keep my voice light. I don't need anything extravagant. Just a safe place to stay for the time being. Ivy regards me for a long moment, her gaze sharp and assessing. Finally, she nods, seeming satisfied with whatever she's gleaned from our interaction. I'll be sure to pass that along, she says, turning to leave. Enjoy your stay, Ava. And do try to keep that mutt of yours under control. With those parting words, she's gone, leaving me standing in the middle of the living room, wondering why she'd even come by in the first place.
Mutt? I'm papered.
Celine's ears twitch in irritation, her tail thumping hard against the sofa. I missed the intro because of that witch. When someone knocks on the door again, I assume. It A2 Hut Cluton's the one at the door this time. 50 Ava, the Grey girl. Good morning, Clayton says with a smile, and I step back to let him into the apartment. He pauses for just a moment when he sees Celine, and I wait for the questions, but he doesn't ask any.
He's polite like that.
Honestly, outside of my paranoia and not wanting to rely on him, he seems like a pretty great guy. Clayton strides into the kitchen like he owns it, which I mean he does, while I stand around feeling awkward and out of place in this fancy apartment. He seems so at home here, like he belongs. Everything okay with the phone? He calls out from the kitchen.
You didn't text me this morning.
Oh, no issues, I reply, glancing down at the sleek new device on the end table. I just woke up a little while ago and haven't set it up yet. There's a brief pause, and then the sound of a pot clattering onto the stove.
Have you eaten?
I shake my head, even though he can't see me.
No.
15:01 equals. 50 Ava, the Grey girl.
Not yet.
Well, go relax then. I'll whip up some breakfast. Before I can protest, he emerges from the kitchen, those intense green eyes fixing me with a look that brooks no argument. Grasping my shoulders, he turns me towards the plush couch and gives me a gentle nudge in that direction. Go on, I've got this. I open my mouth to argue, but one glance at his resolute expression has me snapping it shut again. Instead, I just nod and make my way over to the couch, sinking into the soft cushions with a sigh. Celine, ever my loyal companion, leans against me as she focuses on her show, resting her head on my lap. I absently run my fingers through her soft fur, trying to ignore the sounds of Clayton puttering around in the kitchen.
1.
It's weird, having someone else cook for me.
Take care of me.
I'm so used to being the one doing all the work, all the cooking and cleaning. Having someone else step into that role makes me feel uncomfortable.
Lazy. But at the
50 Ava, the Grey girl. Relieved to have someone else shoulder that burden for a change. To be taken care of, instead of being the one doing all the taking care. It's just breakfast, but he just came in and took over like an alpha who thinks he's my mate. I shake my head, trying to dislodge those thoughts. I can't afford to get too comfortable here, too used to having Clayton around. This isn't permanent, no matter how much he might want it to be. The sizzle of bacon on a hot pan has my ears perking up, Celine's too, and the smell reaches my nose a few seconds later. My stomach gives an involuntary rumble. Okay, maybe I can let him take care of me for just a little while longer. It's not a sin to get a little comfortable, right? Since I can't leave anyway? Breakfast with Clayton is comfortable. He doesn't try to touch me. No more kisses on the forehead. He's just there, polite and friendly making.
15:01.
50 Ava, the Grey girl. Sure, I'm taken care of. Celine seems to approve, because she's zoned into her show instead of watching his every move. Of course, she doesn't have anything against Clayton in the first place. She doesn't like the idea of being trapped here, but she has nothing against him. It's not like the snide remarks she throws in about Lucas every time he comes up. Not wanting to think about him, I focus on my cup of creamer with a splash of coffee, adding another spoon
of sugar.
I can see Clayton giving my drink a little side, but I'm used to it. I don't like coffee without a lot of flavor to mask its real taste. Clayton waves me back to the couch to enjoy myself just as his phone rings. I try to settle into my role as a couch potato, but my ears can't help picking up his side of the conversation. The sickeningly sweet confection is pure comfort, and I sip at it, letting the sugary taste linger on my tongue as I try to ignore the snippets of Clayton's conversation filtering through my ears.
His deep. 15.01. 50 Ava, the Grey Girl.
Rumbling voice is hard to tune out, even with the mindless chatter of the television providing background noise. Situation with Blackwood is escalating. The words send a shiver down my spine, and I clutch my mug a little tighter, the warmth seeping into my palms. Westwood sent his demands, but they're refusing. My heart sinks as the implications of his words start to
sink in.
Blackwood and Westwood? Is a war coming after all? Grey Girl seems to be at the center of it all. The mug almost slips from my fingers, and I barely manage to catch it before the scalding liquid spills all over my lap. My breath catches in my throat as I process those last words. The Grey Girl.
Me?
Panic starts to claw its way up my chest, constricting my lungs. Are they looking for me? Have they found me? Is that why Clayton has me holed up here, under the guise of protection?
50 Ava, the Grey Girl.
My gaze darts towards the hallway, half expecting to see a squad of enforcers bursting through the door to drag me back to that miserable existence. Back to the pack that never wanted me, the family that treated me
like a burden. Of course they don't come.
Clayton doesn't know my last name. He has no idea that I'm the girl he's talking about.
Novel drama, org holds text copyright rights. Right?
Because if he did, he would have to send me back to
my pack.
Celine must sense my distress because she licks my face, her warm body pressing against my leg in a silent show of support. I run my fingers through her soft fur, drawing strength from her presence as Clayton's voice rumbles on. Need to deal with it as soon as you do, no matter what.
Deal with who? The packs? Me? War?
The questions swirl through my mind like a whirlwind, threatening to overwhelm me. Dart of MO wants to confront Cloughton and demand.
15.01. 50 Ava, the Grey Girl.
Answers, but I don't want to tip my hand. I don't think he knows who I am. I have no idea how he'll act once
he finds out, either.
So I just need to make sure he never has a clue. I watch as Clayton ends his call, his brow furrowed in a way that makes the lines on his forehead stand out more. He runs a hand over his face, and I can almost feel the stress radiating off him. Doing my best to act casual, I guzzle the rest of my coffee and head into the kitchen, pretending I just needed to put my cup away. Clayton's already getting ready to wash the dishes. Hey, I say, and I can't keep the worry out of my voice.
Clayton looks up.
What's wrong, Ava? Do I need to worry about this war between the packs? I ask, deciding to stick with blunt and practical. As my approach, Clayton's shoulders stiffen, and he sighs. You'll be safe as long as you stay within the pack, he says, his voice tight. My heart skips a beat at his words. I'm going to have to go out on a quick trip, Clayton continues, and my eyes widen.
A trip? Where? And why?
The questions are burning on the tip of my tongue, but I bite them back, not wanting to draw attention to myself. Besides, I don't need to know. Instead, I force a small smile and say, I hope you have a safe trip. Clayton nods, his expression softening as he meets my gaze.
Thank you, Ava.
For a moment, I think he's going to say more, but then he seems to think better of it. He takes a step towards me, and my heart rate picks up, my body tensing. Involuntarily. Can I have a goodbye kiss? He asks, his voice low and
12:31. Rough.
I swallow hard, my mouth dry.
A part of me wouldn't
mind feeling his lips on mine again, knowing the passion that can erupt between us. But a much larger part of me holds me back. So instead of leaning in, I turn my head slightly, offering him my cheek. His lips brush against my skin, warm and soft, and I feel a shiver run down my spine despite myself. As he pulls back, I can't help but notice the flicker of disappointment in his eyes, and I have to fight the urge to apologize. Instead, I force another smile and say, be safe.
I will.
He taps my nose, his disappointment already hidden.
Set up your phone.
Call me when you do.
Okay.
There's no point wondering if it's hacked. I'll just get a new burner as soon as I can. Ivy will keep an eye on you and check up on you. Try staying inside. Rowan will be by this afternoon, and if you need to go anywhere, you guys can arrange it. Together.
12:31.
Less than 51 Ava, Clayton's departure. My heart beats a little faster. Without Clayton, it'll probably be easier for me to get another phone. This content copyright 2024 noveldrama.org. Okay, I say again with a smile.
Thank you.
The city is huge. Compared to the much smaller human city of White Peak, well, you can't really compare them.
They're different worlds.
I step out of the car, my heart racing as I take it all in. Skyscrapers tower overhead, their glass facades glinting in the sunlight. The sidewalks are packed with people, all rushing to their destinations, their chatter and laughter mingling with the sound of traffic. It's overwhelming, the sheer size and energy of it all. I'm used to the quiet, the solitude of my little town. Here, everything is bigger, louder, more vibrant. I glance over at Rowan, who's walking beside me, his eyes scanning the crowd. He seems at ease, comfortable in this urban jungle. I envy his confidence. This way, he says, guiding me towards a large
department store.
Its windows are filled with
1231.
378.
51 Ava, Clayton's departure.
Mannequins dressed in the latest fashions, and I can't help but stare as we pass by. Inside, the store is even more impressive. The floors are polished marble, the ceilings high and adorned with glittering chandeliers. The air is perfumed with the scent of expensive cosmetics and leather goods. I feel out of place in my simple jeans and t-shirt, even with the brand names on their labels, something I'd found excessive, but I'm learning that Clayton doesn't know the meaning of frugal, but Rowan doesn't seem to notice. He's too busy keeping an eye on our surroundings, his gaze sharp and alert. We make our way through the aisles, and I steal glances at Rowan. He's different now, more relaxed
and easy-going.
During my heat, he had struggled with his own attraction to me, his eyes dark with desire. But now, there's none of that tension between us. He's just Rowan, warm and friendly, a steady presence at my side. If I didn't already know, I never would have suspected him to be the beta of Clayton's pack. I appreciate his company, especially in a place like this. The crowds make me nervous, the constant movement.
12.31. 51 Ava, Clayton's departure.
And noise setting my nerves on edge. But with Rowan here, I feel safer, more grounded. Shifters are everywhere, mingling with humans. I'd noticed in White Peak and Cedarwood that they never looked twice at me, accepting me as just another human. Now they glance toward me and scent the air as I pass. Is it the presence of Rowan, or is it me? They can smell your power, Celine says, calm as ever. You no longer smell human. Damn. That's going to make hiding a lot harder. Rather than hiding, it would be more prudent to get stronger so you don't need to hide. Well, she's not wrong. I loiter in the clothing section, running my fingers over the soft fabrics, trying to appear casual. My eyes dart around, searching for the electronics department. It's a challenge, blending in here. The shoppers move with a sense of purpose, their footsteps brisk and their gazes focused. I, on the other hand, feel like a fish out.
1231.
51 Ava Clayton's departure.
Of water.
I've stopped looking at more than one item after looking at the price tag. He seems to sense my unease.
Don't worry about it, he says.
Clayton said to take care of you.
Easy for him to say.
I feel like every dollar comes with invisible strings and hopes I don't want to be responsible for. Still, I go through a few more shirts, trying to find some cheap items, wondering how I'm going to distract Rowan so I can buy a burner. Weaving through the racks of clothing, the scent of new fabric mingles with perfumes wafting from the cosmetics counter. I'm honestly surprised so many shifters are in here. It's an assault on my nose, and my sense of smell has never been strong for a shifter. I catch a glimpse of the electronics section, and my heart skips a beat. Rows upon rows of gleaming gadgets, from smartphones to laptops to tablets, all displayed with the same reverence as fine art. I have to get over there. Rowan seems to sense my distraction, his brows furrowing as he follows my gaze.
See something vu. 12.31. 51 Ava, Clayton's departure. Like?
I shake my head quickly, forcing a smile.
Just window shopping.
He chuckles, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Well, don't let me stop you. Go ahead and take a look. I don't think you have a computer in the apartment.
Maybe a laptop?
Tablet? My pulse quickens as I nod, trying to appear nonchalant as I break away from him and wander toward the electronics section. My steps are slow, measured, as if I'm just casually browsing. But inside, my mind is racing. As I approach the displays, my eyes are immediately drawn to the smartphones. Sleek, cutting-edge models, each more advanced than the last. My fingers itch to pick one up, to feel the weight of it in my hand. But I can't just grab one and go. That would be too obvious, too suspicious. I need to be smarter than that. Why not tell him you need to buy some sensitive things you don't want him around for?
Celine asks.
It isn't that I hadn't thought of that, but the electronics section is far from someplace that sells menstrual products. What's wrong? Rowan asks, and I realize with a start that I'm scowling in his direction.
Oops.
Nothing, I nibble on my thumbnail, trying my best to look a little distraught. I need some things, but I didn't think you'd be following me the entire time, so. Rowan smiles in relief, thinking he understands.
It's fine.
You can get anything you want.
Clayton can afford it.
He's obnoxiously loaded. I was worried my acting was too much, but I guess it's not enough. I wrinkle my nose and shift from foot to foot. After a moment, I start rubbing one arm, as if I'm beyond uncomfortable with my request. I was never a very whiny teenager, but I'm trying to.
12.
Channel 1 anyway.
Oh no, it's not that. Personal.
It's expensive, but you know.
Personal. Oh.
Rowan's furrowed brow clears as he looks me over.
It's fine.
I have younger sisters. I stare at Rowan in exasperation, giving up my shy act as I settle my hands on my hips. This guy really has no clue. Well, I don't have any brothers who follow me around when I'm buying stuff for my period, I say, channeling my inner dramatic teenager instead.
We all have one. Somewhere. Right?
It's embarrassing, but I have a goal. Rowan clears his throat.
Oh, I see.
That would be, his words trail off, and he looks conflicted. We stand there for a few moments, locked in an uncomfortable silence. I raise an eyebrow, challenging him to just let me have this bit of privacy, holding strong to that young adolescent defiance as Celine hums her approval in my head. He holds my gaze for a beat before letting out a resigned sigh.
12. 52 Ava, it's personal.
I fight from letting triumph show on my face as he looks to the ceiling, mouthing something I can't quite catch. Reaching into his back pocket, Rowan pulls out a sleek black wallet and thumbs through it. He peels off a few bills and hands them to me. Here, get what you need. I'll wait by the entrance.
Let me know if you need more. I'm here to help.
I take the cash, relief flooding through me.
Thanks.
I feel guilty using a man's money when I have no interest in sticking around the way he wants, but well, desperate times. He nods once, already turning to leave.
Just don't go far. And be quick about it.
As Rowan walks away, I catch the faint sound of hissed mutterings. Something about the store being well guarded, so it should be okay. I shake my head, tucking the money into my pocket. At least he's finally giving me some space. With one last glance over my shoulder to make sure he's really leaving me alone, I head toward the personal product section to make it all believable. 12,012.
52 Ava, it's personal.
I quickly grab a few tampons and pads, trying not to linger too long on any one brand or box. It's not like I really need them right now, but the act sells the story. I toss in a couple of shirts from the clearance rack, too, might as well make this little detour worthwhile. With my basket in hand, I make my way back toward the electronics section, keeping an eye out for Rowan. The coast is clear, so I beeline for the phone. Accessories. Burner phones are easy enough to find, and I grab one along with a prepaid card to activate it later. My heart is pounding as I make my purchase, the cashier giving me a friendly smile that I return with a tight-lipped one of my own. I have to resist the urge to look over my shoulder, worried that Rowan might reappear at any moment. Once the transaction is complete, I hurry off to the bathroom, clutching the bag close to my body. The restroom is blessedly empty, and I duck into the largest stall, locking it behind me. Celine hums her approval in my mind. Ripping open the packaging for the burner phone and
52 Ava. It's personal.
Stuffing the plastic and cardboard into the trash makes me feel a little like a shoplifter, even though I already bought the things. I slip the phone itself into my pocket, along with the prepaid card.
Are you ready? Celine asks. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. As ready as I'll ever be.
He's waiting by the entrance, just as he said he would be, and I offer him a small wave as I approach. All set, I announce, keeping my voice light. Rowan nods, falling into step beside me as we exit the store. We should get groceries next, if you're missing anything you like or need. Clayton wasn't sure what to stock your fridge with. I think back to the copious amounts of fruits, vegetables, meat, and assorted juices. There's bread for sandwiches and mayo.
It's fine.
I can cook with what's already there.
Are you sure? It isn't a problem. Completely fine, I promise.
It's enough to make me feel terrible for thinking of the apartment as a gilded cage Clayton's keeping me in. 52 Ava, it's personal. When I really think about it, has he done anything terrible? I can tell he thinks of me as a mate, or mate material. After the week we shared, that's probably reasonable. But he hasn't pushed me too far. He hasn't expected any follow-up activities. Aside from keeping me in the area, which is reasonable as an alpha, everything's been my suspicion that keeps me guarded against him.
Celine says in my mind.
What do you think? I ask quietly. I have mixed feelings, the same as you.
Not super helpful.
It is good to get the phone though.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe it's overboard to think they're tracking me, but I'm not going to risk text property copyright novel, DRA/ma.org.
Clayton.
The elevator dings and the doors slide open, revealing the penthouse lobby of the Silver Moon Pack's largest hotel. I step out, my boots sinking into the plush carpet. Xavier and Lucas are already there, lounging on the leather couches like a pair of lazy lions.
Clayton.
Xavier booms, rising to his feet. He clasps my hand in a firm shake, clapping me on the back with his other hand. Good to see you, my friend. You as well, Xavier. I return his hearty greeting with a grin. Lucas, always a pleasure. Lucas stands, his smile not quite reaching his eyes as we shake hands. There's a tension in his shoulders, a tightness around his jaw. Something's weighing on him. We settle into the couches, the city skyline glittering beyond the floor, 2 ceiling windows. Xavier leans back, crossing his ankles.
How were your flights, boys? No troubles, I hope.
53 Clayton his mail. I shake my head. Smooth sailing for me.
No.
Disturbances. Lucas's mouth presses into a grim line. I wish I could say the same. Got another report of a dead scout right after I landed. The air in the room shifts, the jovial atmosphere evaporating like mist under the morning sun. Xavier's brows knit together.
Shit. Blackwood. Who else?
Lucas growls, his fingers curling into fists on his knees. He's getting bolder, pushing further into our territory. I lean forward, elbows on my knees.
What's your game plan, Lucas?
We can't let this stand. The Blackwood Alpha has been a massive thorn in the Northwestern Council's side for years. There have been several scuffles between the two packs, but Blackwood has even had run-ins with shifters outside of the Northwestern Territories. Lucas drags a hand down his face, his eyes hard as flint. I'm working on it. But every time I think I've got a handle on their moves, they slip through my fingers like smoke. I can't get my hands on solid proof to bring.
1239. ZTE. 53 Clayton, his mater. To the council.
Xavier's expression is grave. Without evidence to bring to the council, my hands are tied.
Mine too.
But that's only if we make this a council affair. There are other options. They're drastic, but they're there.
I know.
Lucas rubs his hand over his face, and I can see his exhaustion in the droop of his shoulders and the shadows under his eyes. We sent Ava Grey back to her pack. We used the official excuse that she hadn't asked for approval and was an unregistered guest in our territory, but Blackwood didn't take it well.
There's more too.
I lean forward, my eyes locked on Lucas as he takes a deep, steadying breath. There's a weight in the air, a tension that goes beyond the usual strain of pack politics. This is something more, something personal. It's my mate, he says finally, the words hanging heavy between us. She's gone missing. A shocked silence falls over the room.
Ours. Eyes
widen, his mouth parting slightly as if the words have robbed him of speech. I can only stare at Lucas.
53 Clayton, his mate.
Struggling to process this revelation. Your mate. I echo, my voice hushed. You've found your mate? Lucas nods, his expression a mixture of awe and anguish.
Yeah.
We met at the Lunar Gala a few months back. A rueful smile tugs at the corners of his mouth. You know how they say it hits you like a freight train?
That's an understatement.
I remember the gala, the swirl of colors and music, the thrum of anticipation in the air as unmated wolves gathered in hopes of finding their other half. I haven't gone in years. To think that Lucas, of all people, had finally experienced that elusive bond.
Who is she?
Xavier asks, leaning forward.
One of ours.
Lucas shakes his head, his jaw tightening. She's from the Blackwood pack. Ava Grey. The name sends a ripple of unease through me. The Blackwood pack has always been shrouded in secrets, their motives inscrutable. To have one of their own bound to the Westwood Alpha.
How did this happen?
I ask, my mind whirling.
Did 53 Clayton, his mate,
Renard sanction this? A bitter laugh escapes Lucas's lips. You know Renard better than that. He's been sending Jessa after Kellen instead of me. I'm too dangerous to keep around, even mated. He looks down at his hands with a sigh. I wish I'd thought about that a long time ago. Xavier looks at Lucas, a knowing glint in his eyes. You rejected her, didn't you? His question isn't a question. Lucas nods once, a sharp jerk of his head down.
Yeah.
We're working on reconciling. I left for a few days to deal with stuff at the border, came back, and she was
gone.
Heavy silence hangs in the air as Lucas finishes speaking, the weight of his words settling over us. I can see the anguish in his face, the torment in his eyes. My gut clenches as I imagine myself in his position. If Ava were to vanish without a trace, it would shatter me. The mere idea of her being ripped away is enough to make my wolf howl in agony. He's obsessed with her, and I have to admit that I am too. We don't have a fated connection, but there's something about her.
12:33. 53 Clayton, his mate.
That I don't want to let go. I swallow hard, pushing the thought away before it can consume me. We'll find her, Lucas, I say, my voice firm with conviction. The Aspen pack stands with you. We'll leave no stone unturned until Ava is safely back in
your arms.
Xavier nods in solemn agreement.
You have our full support, brother.
The Silvermoon pack will lend whatever aid is required to bring your mate home. Ava's a good child, very different from her family and Alpha. You're a lucky man, Lucas.
I know. He lets out a long breath.
I can't lose her again. It took a long time to find her. I hear Blackwood started looking for her, too. That's why I think they took her back. Xavier's brow arches.
Back.
Lucas gives a tight smile. She ran off after I rejected her. Xavier's laugh startles us both, and he apologizes, smacking Lucas on the shoulder.
You're in for a ride.
With that 1 inch, he says, and Lucas laughs his anguish.
12:33. 53 Clayton, his martyr.
Lifting for just a moment. She's not letting it go easily, he agrees, and for a second, we're all smiling. But it's back to grim worry when Xavier returns to the subject. So, you think Blackwood kidnapped her? Xavier's brow furrows.
But why?
If she's your mate, wouldn't they want to use that to their advantage? Not if she's. Lucas trails off, his gaze growing distant. There's more to Ava than meets the eye. I study him closely, seeing the conflict etched into the lines of his face. What aren't you telling us, Lucas?
Text copyright noveldrama.org. He meets my stare, his eyes haunted. Ava's wolfless.
Renard wants to breed her to his men.
She has no
other use for him without a wolf. A chill runs down my spine at the implication behind his words.
At the future for Lucas Ava.
If it were my Ava. Imagining her used as a breeder for a bunch of hormonal wolves has my fists clenching.
12:33. 53 sign on his mate.
We need to find her, Xavier says, his voice hard with resolve. Whatever Renard's plans, we can't let him do that to her. Lucas nods, his jaw set in a grim line.
That's the plan.
I've got my best people on it, but we're running into dead ends at every turn. It's like she just vanished into thin air. I can't prove that they took her, much less that it's against her will. The best I have is hearsay about
abuse.
Xavier rubs his chin, looking at the ceiling as he thinks. Does Blackwood know you're her mate? Lucas shakes his head. Not that I'm aware. Have you claimed her? He shakes his head again, his lips tightened into a grim line. I can understand that. The fact that my claiming didn't take galls me more than I want to admit, even if it was something that was morally wrong to do at the time. If I was truly mated to Ava, I could reach her even now, assure myself that she's safe in the apartment I have set up for her. Xavier sighs. So none of the ancient laws apply.
Then.
Wahava to think of somathing also. Music drifts through the kitchen, courtesy of my phone, as I chop garlic, enjoying the sharp aroma. Cooking has always been a comfort to me, a way to lose myself in the simple tasks and let my mind wander. As I toss minced garlic into the pan heating over the stove, I can't help but feel a sense of peace settle over me, if only momentarily. I've set up the phone Clayton gave me, and texted him and Ivy to let them know it was working. Neither responded, which is fine by me. I set up the burner phone too, and texted Lisa with updates. She did respond, and her spam of emojis have lightened the load on my heart. I texted Mrs. Elkins, letting her know I'm safe and begging her not to talk to anyone about me. Mrs. Elkins assured me my job is safe whenever I can come home, which is even more of a relief. My little paradise is waiting for me, which makes it so much easier to be stuck here right now. A knock at the door startles me from my reverie. I glance at the clock, wondering who could be here at
54 Ava, dinner with Ivy. This hour.
Wiping my hands on a towel, I make my way to the door, peering through the peephole.
It's Ivy.
I take a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever interaction awaits me. There's something about Ivy that always puts me on edge, a subtle undercurrent of something that I can't quite place. Still, I paste on a polite smile and open the door. Ivy, hi, I greet her, trying to keep my tone casual. Ava, she says, her smile bright but somehow not quite reaching her eyes. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Not at all, I assure her, stepping aside to let her in. I was just making dinner. As she enters, I notice the bottle of wine in her hand and the shopping bag slung over her arm. My brow furrows slightly, but I say nothing, waiting for her to explain. I took the liberty of picking up a few things for you, Ivy says, holding out the wine and the bag. A little something to help you settle in. 12:34:0.
C54 Ava, dinner with Ivy.
I accept the items, feeling a bit awkward. You didn't have to do that, I murmur, even as I eye the clothes curiously. Nonsense, Ivy waves a dismissive hand. It's the least I could do. You're practically family now, after all. There it is again, that undercurrent of something. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it makes me uneasy. Still, I force a smile and nod. Thank you, Ivy, I say, meaning it despite my reservations. That's really kind of you. She beams at me, and for a moment, I wonder if I'm reading too much into things. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. The moon goddess knows I'm plenty paranoid these days. You are, but it's understandable, Celine says, yawning from her spot on the couch. She's still binge, watching her mind, numbing wolf shifter show. Remembering that I'm in the middle of cooking, I set the bag and wine on the counter. Why don't you make yourself comfortable? I gesture towards the living area. Dinner should be ready soon. Timmy roturna muamila and sinka aronofili onto the
12:34. 54 Ava, dinner with Ivy.
Couch, crossing her legs and leaning back. Celine sniffs her in greeting, and Ivy reaches out to pat her head in a ginger sort of way, almost like she's worried about being tainted by a dog. The image makes me snort. Inside my head, of course. I wouldn't do that where she can hear me. I busy myself in the kitchen, trying to ignore the way her gaze seems to follow me as I move about. Soon enough, the food is plated, and I carry our dishes
to the table.
Here we are, I say, setting a plate in front of Ivy before taking my own seat. I hope you like pasta primavera. It smells delicious, Ivy assures me, already reaching for her fork. We eat in silence for a few minutes, the only sounds the soft clink of cutlery against plates. Finally, Ivy breaks the quiet. So, Ava, she begins, her tone light and conversational. Tell me a little about yourself. Your family, where you're from, all the fun details. Text content copyright noveldrama.org. I tense slightly at the mention of family, my grip tightening on my fork. There's not much to tell, I deflect, keeping my tone carefully neutral. My family.
12:34. 54 Ava, dinner with Ivy.
They're not really around anymore. Ivy's expression softens, her eyes warm with what seems like genuine sympathy.
I'm sorry, she murmurs.
I didn't mean to pry into painful memories. I shake my head, offering her a reassuring smile. It's all right, you didn't know. There's a brief silence, and then Ivy speaks again, her voice tinged with a melancholy I haven't heard from her before. Clayton and I lost our parents when we were young too, she confides, her gaze dropping to the table. It's not an easy thing to go through. Before I can respond, she reaches across the table, her hand covering mine in a gentle squeeze. I blink, surprised by the unexpected gesture of comfort. Thank you for telling me, I murmur, holding her gaze. For the first time since meeting her, I feel like I'm seeing the real Ivy, not the polished one that seems to be weighing my every move. She offers me a small, grateful smile, giving my hand one last squeeze before withdrawing hers. Clayton is a strong alpha because he was forced to be. We could have lost everything after they died, but
12:04. Less than 54 Ava, dinner with Ivy.
Clayton managed to unite everyone behind him. It was a bloody period of history in our pack, but a necessary one to get him to where he stands now. I shove a bite into my mouth, wondering where this is going. It sounds like an ominous warning after the brief show of empathy. Ivy props her chin on her palm, staring at me for a second. Clayton's never been interested in any she-wolf as a mate all this time. He's worried about bringing children into the world and leaving them behind early, just like our parents did. A flash of memory comes unbidden, and I can hear Clayton's voice growling in my ear, telling me in explicit words how much he wants to breed me, and how much he's going to enjoy doing so. Choking on pasta is not something I'd recommend. Panic crosses Ivy's face, and she leans forward to smack my back as I struggle to breathe. Once the Primavera blockade clears, I take a long drink of the red wine she brought over, coughing again at the alcohol. I'm not used to drinking.
Are you okay, Ava?
Ivy asks, hovering over me with
12:14. 54 Ava, dinner with Ivy.
Her hands out in an awkward manner, as if she's not sure what to do with them. I nod, waving her back to her seat as I cough a little more into a napkin.
I'm fine. Sorry.
It just went down the wrong pipe. For someone who doesn't want children, he could have fooled me last week, Celine says, yawning in amusement. Shut up, I hiss at her, smiling at Ivy.
I'm sorry for
startling you.
It's fine.
She waves a hand, looking me over with some caution. As long as you're okay. I continue eating, trying to keep my composure after that awkward moment. Ivy hesitates, seeming unsure if she should continue eating as well. The silence between us grows thick and uncomfortable. I rack my brain for something to say, but the tension is stifling. Finally, Ivy clears her plate and stands. Well, I should get going. Thank you for having me over. I stand as well, unsure of the protocol.
Of course.
Thanks for the gifts. She steps forward and kisses both my cheeks, catching me off guard.
I'll see you around, Ava.
And with that, she's gone, leaving me alone in the
12. 1 to 8.
C. 55 Ava, shopping with Ivy.
Apartment.
I collapse onto the plush couch, mentally exhausted from the visit. What was the point of all that? She seemed nice enough, but there's just something so weird about how she acts.
Judgment? Suspicion?
I can't quite put my finger on it. Celine pads over and hops up beside me, resting her head on my lap. She certainly is an interesting one. You're telling me, I mutter, running my fingers through her soft fur. I can't figure out her angle. I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her. There's something off about that one. I frown, staring at the gifts she left on the counter.
You think so?
She seems harmless enough to me. Famous last words, pup. Celine huffs out a breath. Just be careful around her. And her brother, for that matter.
Clayton.
The memory of our intimate encounter flashes through my mind, heat creeping up my neck. What's wrong with him? If you aren't willing to be his mate, you need to be careful. His wolf thinks of you as his mate. He's been trying to reach me. 12:36. 55 Ava, shopping with Ivy.
I stare at Celine.
You guys can talk to each other?
Of course.
Her blue husky eyes seem to find my intelligence lacking. It's only humans who are limited in their communication.
I see.
Rubbing her ears, I ask as casually as possible, and
Lucas Wolf.
Celine jerks her head away with a sharp snort. I don't talk to the unworthy.
Ouch.
I wake up to the sound of Celine's excited yips and the thump of her tail against the bed frame. Rubbing the sleep from my eyes, I peer over at her lounging on the couch, watching the same cheesy shifter romance, but this time on the bedroom TV. Morning, you lazy mutt, I grumble, throwing a pillow in her general direction. She dodges it easily, not even bothering to look away from the screen. Good morning, sunshine, she replies, her tone dripping
with sarcasm. Celine well?
12:35. 55 Ava, shopping with Ivy. Well enough to know that show is garbage, I shoot at her, before heading into the bathroom for a shower. As I'm drying off, my phone chimes with a new text message. It's from Ivy, asking if I'm free to go shopping with her today. I grimace, not exactly thrilled at the
prospect.
You should go, Celine's voice echoes in my mind. It'll be good for you to get out of the apartment for a bit. Don't give up what freedom you can get. I don't know, I murmur, typing out a non-committal response. Ivy kind of makes me uncomfortable. This text is copyright noveldrama/org. Sometimes. A little while later, there's a knock at the door. I open it to find Ivy standing there, looking impeccably put together as always. She gives me a once-over, taking in my ratty t-shirt and sleep shorts. Good, you're ready, she says breezily, brushing past me into the apartment. I took the liberty of picking out an outfit for you. She holds up a garment bag, unzipping it to reveal a silky turquoise blouse and lightweight gray pants. My eyes widen when I spot the pair of heels peeking out.
12:35.
55 Ava, shopping with Ivy.
From the bottom.
Ivy, you already brought me clothes yesterday, I protest weakly.
And I don't really wear heels. Nonsense.
She waves a dismissive hand.
You'll look great.
Now go get changed, the car is waiting downstairs. Even without the clothes. I never once agreed to go shopping, did I? I check my phone, and the text.
Nope, didn't agree.
Said I wasn't sure what I was planning on doing today. I guess she took that as an invitation to make the decision for me. Knowing there's no use in arguing, I take the outfit and head for the bathroom, dressing quickly. The blouse is loose and flowing, but the pants cling to my legs in a way that makes me feel exposed.
And the heels.
I wobble precariously, using the counter for support. When I emerge, Celine lets out a low whistle.
Looking good, pup.
You clean up nicely. I shoot her a glare, but Ivy seems pleased.
Much.
C. 55 Ava, shopping with Y.
Better.
Here, put these on dash, and she tosses a few accessories at me, statement pieces that probably cost more than my annual salary, and grab your things.
And let's go.
We've got a full day ahead of us. Reluctantly, I follow her out of the apartment, leaving my burner phone behind. I don't want to risk Ivy seeing it and asking questions. As we step out onto the sidewalk, a sleek black sedan idles at the curb, the driver hopping out to open the door for us. Where are we going exactly? I ask as we slide into the plush leather seats. Ivy gives me a conspiratorial grin.
You'll see.
Just sit back and let me take care of everything. Then she looks me over with some suspicion.
You don't have a purse. I shrug. I was kidnapped, remember?
Aside from my house keys, phone, and some cash for a ride, I didn't have anything on me at the time. I leave my purse at home a lot. A habit I'd learned after being routinely mugged by members of my own pack.
Getting a
replacement ID is hard enough. Trying to convince my parents to take me to get one increases the difficulty by way too much.
55 Ava, shopping with Ivy.
I carry cash and leave my identification at home. I might be screwed if I'm ever pulled over, but I've never had to show my ID for anything outside of getting hired or signing up for college, so I take my risks.
Oh, right.
There was something like that, wasn't there? Ivy muses. Well, let's get you a purse anyway. Accessories make the outfit, Ava. I feel a bit like I'm being prepped for some kind of final exam as Ivy drags me from store to store, explaining trending fashion in a way that goes over my head. The driver trails a few steps behind us, dutifully collecting the mounting pile of shopping bags and ferrying them out to the car at regular intervals. At the first boutique, Ivy immediately starts pulling dresses and blouses off the racks, holding them up against me to assess the fit. This one's cute, she declares, adding a floral sundress to the growing pile over her arm.
And this too.
Oh, and we simply must get you this top. Before I know it, the salesgirl is ushering me into the dressing room with an armload of clothes. I spend what feels like hours trying on outfit after outfit, parading out for Ivy's critical eye.
I don't love that one, she says, wrinkling her nose at a slinky black dress. Next.
I obediently retreat back behind the curtain, shimmying out of the dress and into a pair of hive-waisted trousers and a silk camisole. When I re-emerge, Ivy claps her hands delightedly.
That's the one. You look so chic.
We'll take it. Actually, just keep it on. It looks better than what I brought.
Over.
This Ivy is so different from the Ivy I've been treated to up to this point, and I'm dizzy with whiplash. The process repeats at what seems like a dozen different stores throughout the afternoon. Shoes, dresses, blouses, skirts, pants. By the time we hit the fourth boutique, I'm fairly certain I've tried on more outfits today than I have in my entire life.
12:35. 56 Ava, a sudden situation.
My feet are screaming in protest from the endless parade of heels Ivy insists I model. I'm parched from barely having a chance to grab a bottle of water. But Ivy seems to be having the time of her life, reveling in her role as personal shopper and stylist. She flits around me like a deranged fairy godmother, clucking over hemlines and admiring how certain colors bring
out my eyes.
You have such a great figure, Ava, she gushes as I consciously smooth my hands over my hips in a skin-tight black pencil skirt. We simply must get you some things to show it off properly. I force a tight smile, feeling distinctly uncomfortable under her appraising stare. Revealing clothes have never been my thing. I much prefer loose, flowy fabrics that skim over my curves rather than clinging
to them.
At one point, I try to politely extricate myself, suggesting we take a break to grab a bite to eat. But Ivy merely waves a dismissive hand.
Oh, there's no need.
I had the driver pick up some protein bars and smoothies. Here, have one of these.
12:35. 56 Ava, a sudden situation.
She tosses me some sort of chalky-looking nutrition bar from her purse. I eye it dubiously but take a small bite, grimacing at the gritty, tasteless lump.
So much for lunch.
Finally, after what feels like an eternity of shopping torture, Ivy seems satisfied with her haul. We pile back into the sleek sedan, and I sink gratefully into the plush leather seat, massaging my sore
arches. Well,
Ivy prompts expectantly as the driver pulls away from the curb. What did you think?
Wasn't that fun?
I shoot her a sidelong glance, too worn out to muster much enthusiasm. It was an experience. She laughs lightly, patting my knee in a disturbingly condescending way. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Just think of all the other fun things we can do together now. I bite back a groan as Celine's smug voice echoes in my head. Well, I for one have had a delightful day lounging on the couch and watching my shows. No uncomfortable shoes or pretentious boutiques for me. Ivy chatters away beside me, oblivious to my silent.
12:35. 56 Ava, a sudden situation.
Exchange with my wolf companion. I've learned the art of tuning her out while still nodding and making vague affirming noises at regular intervals to keep the conversation flowing. And the little place I'm taking you to is simply divine. The chef is an absolute genius.
You'll love it.
I murmur absently, gazing out the window. The city is behind us, and we're driving through a quiet
suburb.
Rows of identical houses with perfectly manicured lawns and white picket fences stretch out as far as the eye can see. It's like a postcard image of the American dream. Ivy is still prattling on about the trendy new restaurant she's taking me to, but I've long since tuned her out. That is, until the driver's gruff voice cuts through her.
Ceaseless chatter. Ma'am, we're being tailed. One car, a blue sedan.
I sit up a little straighter, instinctively glancing behind.
One us.
Ivy finally falls silent, craning her neck to peer out the rear window with a frown.
12:35. 56 Ava, a sudden situation. Are you certain? She demands, a hint of impatience
coloring her tone. The driver doesn't respond.
Instead, he hits the brakes.
Hard, the tires of our luxury sedan shrieking in protest. My body lurches violently against the restraints of my seatbelt as the car swerves, the momentum nearly whipping my head to the side. In the front, a sleek blue sedan has pulled across the road, blocking our path entirely. There's a split second where everything seems to move in slow motion, the acrid scent of burnt rubber, Ivy's sharp inhalation of breath, the driver shouting. Then everything explodes into chaos. Text copyright owned by NovelDrama.org. Our car spins wildly, the force slamming me against the door with bruising intensity. Ivy, who hadn't bothered to fasten her seatbelt, isn't so lucky. Her head cracks against the window with a sickening thud, and she immediately goes limp, crimson blooming across her temple. 2 car accidents in less than 2 weeks?
My luck is shit. Ivy.
I scream, my voice drowned out by the deafening
12.15. 56 Ava, a sudden situation.
Blare of the car horn as the driver frantically wrestles with the steering wheel. Finally, mercifully, we grind to a bone-jarring halt, the rear of the car brushing up against a cluster of neatly trimmed hedges lining someone's front yard. I'm panting, dazed, my heart thundering a frantic staccato rhythm against my ribcage. The driver is already moving, ripping off his seatbelt and shoving open his door.
Stay in the car, he barks
at me, but little does he know, I can't move.
I'm still processing it all.
His huge frame uncoils with a lethal grace as he charges toward the blockade. Even from inside, I can see at least 3 figures emerging from the other vehicle, their movements tightly coordinated. For a fraction of a second, a flicker of hope kindles in my chest. Our driver is easily twice the size of any of those men. If anyone can take them, it'll be him. That hope is swiftly extinguished as one of the figures raises something. A gun?
A tranquilizer?
I can't tell, and fires. The driver jerks like a puppet with its strings cut, crumpling bonelessly to the asphalt. I scream, my voice raw with terror as the door beside me is wrenched open. Before I even look, I throw a punch in their direction. But it's not one of the armed assailants, it's Phoenix. My brother's face is set in grim lines, his mouth a tight slash of determination. My fist is held by his hand as though I'm a child throwing a tantrum, with the ease of someone far more powerful than me. He lets go and cuts my seatbelt with a knife before grabbing me in an almost painful grip. Ivy is still slumped in the back seat beside me, a trickle of blood oozing from the gash on her forehead. She's completely still, her head lolling at an unnatural angle. My stomach roils violently, and I have to swallow back a surge of nausea.
Is she?
She's alive, Phoenix says gruffly, as if reading my mind.
For now.
Come on, we have to move, he growls, already tugging me out of the wrecked sedan. 12:36.
57 Ava, stunned.
I stumble after him in a daze, my mind whirling.
Phoenix? Here? How dash? What's happening, Ava?
Celine's voice, taut with concern, rings in my head. I shake my head mutely, too shaken to articulate a response. Phoenix is already hustling me towards one of the blue sedans idling in front of Ivy's car. The driver, a tall, powerfully built shifter I don't recognize, jumps out and rushes to open the rear door. Exclusive copyright content by NOVE/L/drama.org. Get in, Phoenix barks at me, giving me a firm shove towards the open door. I scramble inside without protest, my entire body quivering with a bone-deep chill. The rear door slams shut, and Phoenix is already circling around to the passenger side. Airport, he snaps at the driver as he clambers inside.
And step on it.
We peel away from the curb with a violent squeal of tires, the force slamming me back against the seat. Ava, talk to me, Celine urges, her mental voice tinged with a rare edge of panic.
What's going on? Who are those men?
I20112887A Mu Ouea Chut fighting to Rothar Mu. 1236.
57 Ava, stunned.
Scattered thoughts. The image of the driver crumpling to the ground is seared into the back of my eyelids, making my stomach churn.
Myself, defense class isn't enough. It was all false confidence. I don't know.
They were following us. The one who pulled me out of the car is Phoenix.
My brother.
I have to swallow hard, struggling to compose myself. I tried so hard to hide. How did they find me? I feel Celine's calming presence wrapping around me like a soothing balm.
It's okay, Ava. I'm coming.
I swallow hard, my throat feeling tight. Celine, you're never going to make it in time. We're heading for the airport. That means they're going to fly me back to the pack. And there's no point running.
They have more people. They have cars. They have guns.
Ones that can kill shifters. Phoenix turns around in the passenger seat to face me, his gaze raking over me, assessing.
Why do you smell like a shifter? He demands. 57 Ava, stunned.
I force myself to meet his stare, keeping my expression carefully neutral. Probably because I've been living with other shifters, I lie. The girl in the car is a shifter.
2.
Phoenix shakes his head, his mouth tightening into a grim line.
No, it's different.
More than just proximity to the Aspen Alpha.
Shit. He knows about Clayton. What else does he know?
I don't know what you're talking about, I say evenly, lying through my teeth. He knows damn well I don't have a wolf of my own, and they can never prove that Celine exists.
I can't shift.
Phoenix's eyes narrow, but he doesn't press further, turning back around to face the front. I let out a slow, shaky breath and lean back against the couch, cursing everything I can think of in my head. I just got that damn burner phone. I just started getting comfortable, expecting to be able to go home at some point. And now this. 1236.
57 Ava, stunned.
It's like I'm being punished for having a few months of peace in Cedarwood. Have you been with Shadowpine this whole time? Phoenix asks, breaking the silence again as we merge.
Onto the interstate.
I can't tell if he's asking me a trick question to see if I'll lie to him, or if he genuinely doesn't know.
I hope he doesn't know.
If he doesn't, that means Cedarwood is still safe. He's out of town, I say, deliberately misinterpreting his question. I'm not sure if he comes back today.
Do you want me to call Dash? No.
I can see how tense he is by the prominent veins in his neck, so I shut my mouth. Phoenix turns around to look at me again.
We've been worried sick about you, Ava. You disappeared right
after the Lunar Gala without a trace. I blink at him, trying to hide my incredulity. That's complete bullshit. They've made it abundantly clear they don't give a damn about me. 1236.
57 Ava, stunned. Really?
I say flatly. Because I can clearly remember a time when you should have been worried about me, but you decided to play nice with the man who assaulted me. Seconds after it happened. Phoenix's jaw tightens, a muscle flexing. I don't know if he remembers what I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter.
I do. I always will. You're our family, Ava.
We're upset when you vanished like that.
Course we.
I have to resist the urge to snort derisively.
Family?
Is that what he calls the cold indifference and outright cruelty they've shown me for as long as I can?
Remember?
Apparently sensing my skepticism, Phoenix shakes his head, his expression sobering. Look, I know things haven't been great between us lately, Dash.
Lately? Ha.
There's nothing lately about the way they've treated me my whole damn life. Phoenix exhales a frustrated breath.
Okay, fine. For a long time.
But you're still part of this pack whether you like it or not, Ava. And family means something. It means we protect each other and stick together, no matter how much we might disagree sometimes.
57 Ava, stunned. Stop the shit, I snap.
What is it that Dad wants from
me?
A low growl comes out of Phoenix, but I ignore him. Instead of answering, he turns around and snaps at the driver to hurry up. I settle into the chair beside Phoenix, my soul crushed under the weight of despair. The plane hums to life around us, a mechanical beast ready to whisk me back to the hell I'd escaped. Phoenix barely spares me a glance as he crowds me against the window, effectively trapping me in my seat. Even going to the bathroom will be impossible without him knowing
about it.
Celine's whimpers echo in my mind, a mirror of my own anguish.
Ava, I'm so sorry. I tried. I'm still trying.
I know, I whisper back, my heart clenching.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
No matter how fast she is, a wolf can't outrun a car. And even if she did, what are we going to do, against the people under Phoenix's control? Honestly, it's not okay. Nothing about this is okay. I'm being dragged back to the very place I'd fought so hard to escape, and there's not a damn thing I can do
about it. 12.37. 58 Ava, return home. Celine, listen to me.
I picture my parents' house in my mind, every detail etched into my memory. The sprawling ranch-style home, the meticulously manicured lawn, the wrought iron fence that always felt more like a cage than a boundary. This is where they're taking me. The Blackwood Pack territory. My parents' address is. I rattle off the information, each word feeling like a nail in my coffin. Celine absorbs it all, her presence in my mind a flickering candle in the darkness. I'll find you, she promises, her voice fierce despite the tremor of fear. No matter how long it takes, no matter the distance. I'll never stop looking. Tears prick at the corners of my eyes, but I blink them back, refusing to let Phoenix see me cry.
I know you will. But Celine, it's far. Really, really far.
Even as I say it, I feel her running, her paws pounding against the pavement as she races toward the airport. But we both know it's futile. She'll never make it in
time.
I don't care, Celine growls, her determination a living, breathing thing.
I won't give up on you, Ava. Never. 12.37. 58 Ava, return home. Plus 35.
A sob builds in my throat, but I swallow it down. I won't give up either, I vow, meaning it with every fiber
of my being.
We'll find a way back to each other.
Somehow.
Phoenix reaches over and buckles me in, his movements brusque and impersonal. All of the announcements are done, and I didn't even notice
them happening. The plane's moving.
I close my eyes, feeling the distance between Celine and me growing with every second, an invisible tether stretching taut. I love you, I whisper, pouring every ounce of my heart into those 3 words. I love you too, Celine whispers back, her presence fading as the plane gains speed. And then she's gone, the connection severed by miles of empty sky. The plane ride goes smoothly. I sleep for most of it, because there's no point in being awake. I don't want to see Phoenix's face, much less talk to him. The ride home is just as silent, but as soon as I see the
forest nar home, my stomach clenchin' in drand. Mu alonahon.
12.37. 58 Ava return home. How many times have I driven through here myself? How many times have I had pack members stalk me through the woods, waiting until I arrive home, just to taunt me?
To throw stones?
To kick and punch and bite, all because I had no wolf? I can't remember. It's impossible to remember. It's happened so often, everything blurs together. It's like asking about every time you ate lunch. You can't count them all. You can't keep track.
It's just life.
Vomit gathers up the back of my throat as familiar neighborhood streets populate my view. I was hoping to never see this place again, and now I'm
here.
If I had hackles, they'd be raised. I wish desperately that I could talk to Celine, but the distance is way too far. There's a nasty lump in my throat as Phoenix escorts me inside the house that fills me with such dread. His lip curls in disgust as he sniffs me. Get the aspen stench off you before Dad gets home, he orders. There isn't a hint of big brotherly affection in his words or demeanor. I'm sure you still have clothes in.
58 Ava, return homo. Your room.
Don't dawdle, Alpha Renard will be here for dinner. He's been worried about you. Gritting my teeth, I resist the urge to snap back at him. Worried my ass. Old habits die hard, ingrained from a lifetime of following their rules and commands. Doing as he says comes so naturally that my shoulders slump as I head to my room for some clothes. There aren't many of them, and I find myself missing my little wardrobe in cedarwood. Or even the clothes Clayton and Ivy had gathered for me. Those were less my style, but at least they weren't worn out and threadbare. Copyright noveldrama.org, all rights reserved. Without a word, I head to the bathroom, stripping off my clothes and stepping into the shower. The hot water stings my skin, but I welcome the pain, scrubbing furiously to remove any lingering traces of Clayton's scent clinging to me. If they can still smell it, I won't hear the end of it. I'm worried about my scent changing.
About my heat. About Celine.
But there's nothing I can do about it right now. I'll just have to think of something to throw them off.
They. 12:37. 58 Ava, return home.
Can't prove I have a wolf, so it should work out eventually. Lathering up the scratchy washcloth, I scour every inch of my body until my skin is raw and pink. Cedarwood and Clayton's pack, it all washes down the drain in a swirl of soap suds. Just like that, the life I'd begun to build for myself disappears, erased with a simple order from Phoenix. I have to be careful. Rinsing off the last stubborn suds, I shut off the water and step out, grabbing a towel to dry myself. My old room feels like a stranger space, the walls closing in with every passing second. It's been ransacked, likely to look for any hint of where I might.
1. B.
Which begs the question, how did they find me? 58 Ava return home. Thank you for all your support. I am working to finish filling all my privilege tiers and continue my stockpile of chapters. I set my privilege tiers up to 30 chapters, so
Lena Leah.
When I walk downstairs, Phoenix is hanging up the phone. It strikes me how much I've changed when I realize I have no curiosity, no spark to ask who he was talking to.
I don't care.
It's either related to me in a way that isn't going to be pleasant, or it will have nothing to do with me.
That's it.
Those are the two options. I have no urge to grow closer to the asshole who shares my genetics, so I don't ask.
Instead, I plan.
I won't be able to escape right away. I'm not even sure how I can escape. I have no money, no phone, no contact with the outside world. But now that I've been
out there?
Now that I've been on my own? It doesn't seem as impossible as it did when I lived
here.
If I just have a chance, I'll take it. Some of the guys will be coming by to watch over. 122-0.
59 Ava, Homecoming, 1.
You, Phoenix announces, coming by to sniff at me.
Don't start anything.
There's plenty in the fridge, so just make something for dinner. Don't forget that Alpha Renard is coming.
Ha.
So not only have I been dragged home, now I have to make them dinner?
No, thank you.
I ignore Phoenix to plop down on the worn couch, reaching for the remote. The soft fabric smells like the artificial scent of clean linen, a scent I've grown to despise over the years. Phoenix lingers nearby, his frown deepening as I lazily flip through channels. I can feel the weight of his gaze, disapproval radiating off him in waves. He's struggling, I can tell. Part of him wants to chew me out like the disappointment I am. The other part is trying to play nice, to lull me into a false sense of security for whatever twisted game he's playing. I don't give him the satisfaction of acknowledging either side. My eyes remain glued to the TV as I rapidly cycle through channels, a kaleidoscope of colors and noise filling the living room.
12:38. 59 Ava, Homecoming, 1.
Then, a familiar scene catches my eye. A hunky male lead with tousled hair and a roguish grin. The top soundtrack swelling with orchestral passion as the camera pans over his chiseled torso. It's the same cheesy shifter romance Celine had been obsessed with at the apartment. The ache in my chest sharpens as I take it all in, judging it clinically in my head to try to stop the feelings from overwhelming my heart. Terrible acting. Melodramatic plot. Cringe-worthy dialogue. A lump forms in my throat, grief threatening to overwhelm.
1. Me.
On the screen, the alpha hero cups the face of his trembling Omega mate, his eyes smoldering with an intensity that could set the screen on fire. I will never choose her, he growls, his voice a deep rumble that is probably sending thousands of women across the country into a dramatic swoon. And I will never let
you go.
I nearly choke on a bitter laugh. If only my life was as simple as worrying that my mate would want another
woman. 12:38. 59 Ava, Homecoming, 1.
A sharp knock sounds on the door. I try not to tense as Phoenix opens the door, but my body betrays me. The scent of a familiar nausea-inducing wolf washes over me, thick and musky with undertones of sweat and aggression. My heart pounds against my ribcage as if begging to be let out. Todd Mason steps inside first, his eyes immediately finding me on the couch. A slow, predatory smile stretches across his face as he rakes his gaze over me. I fight back a shudder, memories of his cruel hands on my body making my skin crawl. I can smell the tuna on this breath from here, courtesy of the tuna sandwich he eats for lunch every day. It's one of my least favorite smells now. I can't even think about tuna without gagging. Well, he rumbles, never taking his eyes off me. If it isn't little Ava Grey, back where she belongs. The other two shifters flank him, their leering stares just as unsettling. I swallow hard, my mouth dry, as Phoenix turns to face them. Keep your hands off her unless it's absolutely necessary, he warns, his tone hard.
Alpha Renard will. 12:38. 59 Ava, Homecoming, 1.
Be here soon for dinner. I don't need any issues before then. Mason's smile only widens at the threat, and he gives a lazy shrug. Whatever you say, Phoenix. We'll be perfect little angels. His gaze drifts back to me, and I force myself to meet it head on, refusing to show fear. A muscle in his jaw ticks, and I know he can smell my discomfort no matter how much I try to hide it. Don't worry, princess, he drawls, taking a step closer. We're just here to make sure you don't try to run off again. Can't have our alpha's prize getting loose now.
Can we?
Phoenix shifts his stance, a low growl rumbling in his chest.
That's enough, Mason. I mean it.
But Mason doesn't seem fazed. He holds my stare for a beat longer, his eyes glittering with dark promise, before finally turning away with a scoff.
Yeah. I got it.
He jerks his head at the others.
Let's get settled, boys.
Looks like we're in for a fun night of babysitting. They spread out through the living room claiming owned by noveldrama.org.
/7. 59 Ava, Homecoming, 1.
Spots on the armchairs and couch like they own the place. I curl my legs beneath me, pressing back against the cushions as if I can somehow disappear into them.
Todd, of course, takes the couch. He's on the far side
of it, but only a cushion separates us, and his arm is relaxed on the back of it, his fingers close enough to brush against my hair. Phoenix shoots me one last look, a silent warning to behave, before heading out the front door. As soon as he's out of sight, Mason's eyes find me again, that same cruel smile playing at the corners of his mouth. I take a shaky breath, wrapping my arms around myself. This was exactly what I was afraid of, being trapped here, surrounded by people who want to use me to hurt me. My only solace is the knowledge that
Celine is safe.
I just have to endure this for now. Aren't you supposed to be making dinner? Todd asks, and I point at the TV, trying my best to ignore how his fingers lightly graze over my shoulder. I can't shift any further away. I'm watching this, I say, leaving it at that.
12:38. 59 Ava, Homecoming, 1.
I can see the shifters all glancing at each other, and the faint puzzled look that flashes across Todd's face. They're not used to me being this way.
It feels good.
When Mom and Dad walk through the door, dinner isn't ready, because I haven't once left the couch. I'm 2 episodes into a back-to-back marathon of Celine's favorite show. Todd and his 2 Goonies have tried to get me to cook, but I've ignored them at every
turn.
I find it interesting that they never once tried to physically drag me into the kitchen.
They would have. Before.
I don't think it's my attitude. They're the kind who would beat it out of you, not back down.
So, it's the order Phoenix gave. But why?
What's planned for me? Before I left, it was to use me as a breeder for the pack. That isn't the kind of future where I'm protected from beatings. That means there's something more.
My stomach clenches. Do they know about my heat? They have to.
There's no other explanation.
60 Ava, Homecoming 2.
If they know I went into heat, then they'll likely know about the supposed true Omega designation Clayton's pack had given me. And if they think I'm that
shit.
When the front door opens, I don't budge.
Not a muscle twitches.
I can smell Mom's perfume before her heels click against the floor. Even without looking, I can imagine the pinched look on her face.
Ava Grey.
Your brother spends all this time to find you and bring you home safely, and you can't even make dinner to repay him. I don't respond, keeping my eyes trained on the flickering TV screen. You may go, she says, ostensibly to the shifters guarding me. I can feel Todd get up from the couch. The absence of his presence is a relief, even with my parents home. Dad follows behind her, his broad frame filling the doorway. His eyes find me on the couch and his expression darkens. Without a word, he strides fameward and planting himself directly in front of the TV.
12:39. 60 Ava, Homecoming 2.
I tilt my head back to meet his gaze, unflinching.
His eyes
bore into mine, a storm of emotions swirling in their depths. Anger, disappointment, something else I can't quite place, a hint of wariness perhaps. The tension in the room is palpable, thick enough to choke on. Mom's cold stare digs into the side of my face, but I refuse to break eye contact with Dad.
I won't cower, not this time.
His jaw clenches, the muscles flexing beneath his weathered skin. For a moment, I think he might speak, might unleash the torrent of reprimands I've come to. This is property copyright of noveldrama.org.
Expect.
But the words never come. He simply stands there, his gaze locked with mine, as if searching for something he can't quite find. Then he looks at Mom and says, "Have something delivered. The Alpha will be here soon." The triumphant smile I want to have has to be hidden deep in my heart. There's no point in pushing the
victory.
I return my gaze to the TV. So good to see you've been so worried about me.
So many questions about. See. 60 Ava, Homecoming 2.
How I'm doing, where I've been, am I okay? What a loving, caring family. We're so close. Okay, maybe I should learn to keep my mouth shut too. When did I develop this level of spine? But honestly, 2 parents come home after their daughter's been missing, and not a word out of their mouth is even fake concern. Living my life like this for 2 decades is more than enough. I can't do another second. Ava, my dad says in his warning tone. Beta Alexander, I say, refusing to call him any form of
father.
His brow twitches and a muscle in his jaw clenches. I see that you've become a degenerate in your absence. I'm letting it pass today because you've been through a lot, but make no mistake, Ava, you will behave when Alpha Renard arrives. If Celine were here, she would have repeated his words in a mocking tone that made me laugh. But she's not, so I just turn up the volume on the TV, only
60 Ava, Homecoming 2.
For Mom to snatch the remote from my hand and turn
it off.
You cannot be watching that level of trash, Ava, she admonishes, her voice like ice. Get dressed in something more presentable.
You look like a homeless person.
Sardonic humor has several responses coming to mind as I look down at my worn, out jeans, with holes in the knees and in a couple places along my thighs, and my faded T-shirt that might have seen better days 100 years ago. Mom's gaze is cutting, appraising me from head to toe with an expression of utter disdain. She's dressed to perfection, as she always is, in a designer dress that could put a down payment on someone's house, tasteful glittering jewelry dripping
from her neck and ears.
I wave a hand down my body with a bright smile. This is as presentable as I get, I say, each word enveloped in wry amusement. Since I don't have parents who actually take care of me. I'm the orphan of the family. The slap comes before I can even register the
60 Ava, Homecoming 2.
Movement, a sharp crack of flesh on flesh ringing through the room. My head snaps to the side with the force of the blow, and I taste copper as my lip splits open. Stars dance across my vision as the sting radiates through my cheek. Shifter strength is great when you have it.
I don't. Dad does.
I blink rapidly, trying to regain my bearings, but my father is already looming over me, his face twisted into a mask of rage. You ungrateful little bitch, he snarls, grabbing a fistful of my hair and yanking my head back. After everything we've done for you, this is how you treat your mother. His words are punctuated by flecks of spittle hitting my face, and I flinch instinctively.
Done for me.
I manage to choke out through the pain. You've never done anything for me except make my life a living hell. Another slap, this one hard enough to make my teeth rattle. We've given you a roof over your head, food on the table, he growls. We have protected your place in this pack. We looked for you when you left. You call that nothing?
6 to 9.
60 Ava Homecoming, 2. I can taste blood now, but I don't back down.
A roof and food?
That's the bare minimum, you asshole. Where was the love?
The support?
The basic human decency? Did I choose to come into this world?
No.
You fucked Mom and made a baby. You're the ones that are obligated to care for me. I'm not obligated to respect shit parents like you. His grip on my hair tightens, and he jerks my head back further, exposing my throat. For a terrifying moment, I think he might actually try to strangle me. But then my mother's voice cuts through the tension.
Enough, Alexander.
She sounds bored, as if this is just another tedious chore to get through. The Alpha will be here any minute. We can't have her looking like a
mess.
My father holds my gaze for a few more heartbeats, his eyes burning with a fury I've never seen before. Then, with a grunt of disgust, he releases me, shoving me back against the couch. Mom is the one to come to me, a cool finger pushing my chin up so she can inspect my face.
Only the strong survive, Ava.
We've kept you alive with our protection.
Don't spit on it.
If we wanted to, you could.
Ava, Homecoming 2.
Be erased from this world without a tear. Now go upstairs and clean your face. Change your shirt too. She flicks a finger in the direction of some blood that spilled on the soft fabric. Then they're both gone, leaving me in the living room with every assumption that I'll do as they ask. A bitter laugh escapes my lips, the sound hollow and devoid of any real mirth. Sinking my face into my hands, I wish more than anything that Celine was here with me. Her calming presence, her unwavering support, would be a lifeline in this suffocating place.